Come, come, my listeners, gather round the campfire and listen to yarns of fright and woe. For the 70th episode of the Avocado Gamescast, I, your dutiful host Merve, have assembled a compendium of tales so bone-chilling, so blood-curdling, that should you choose to let their words touch your ears, Morpheus may never visit the recesses of your mind again. Here to tell these tales, we have the forgotten guestbook of a GeoCities webpage, Science is Bad.
Hello, I had a good GeoCities joke, but I forgot it.
An assortment of modem noises, Lovely Bones.
Submitted for the approval of the Midnight Society.
240p real player video, DW.
Hi, I can't think of anything clever to say.
And finally, a stray marquee tag, Ben.
Okay, now this question doesn't make any sense because you changed it all, but you said Menzies before. What the fuck are the Menzies?
I said meninges.
Yeah, meninges.
Are we referencing?
I definitely. I didn't say menses because that has to do with periods and menstruation, which has nothing to do with your brain.
Are we referencing the previous timeline? What are we doing?
So yeah, we had a previous timeline because it is Halloween, and on Halloween there are multiple timelines. So in a previous timeline where I
had
screwed up this podcast recording,
I swear.
Science had a very good joke, and Merve messed up one word.
Yeah, and in that previous timeline, I was 6 foot tall, super buff dude. You know, just cruising through town in my Mercedes convertible. Does Mercedes make convertibles? I don't even know, man.
I don't know.
Yeah,
maybe. Cars.
I don't know cars.
What's my agenda?
We'll walk you through it, Ben. You will live.
I'm just reading through the agenda, and it's for episode 53, and it looks like Lily was hosting, and...
Ben! That was a year ago.
Oh, Lord.
That was a long time ago. I was...
really confused, got like, hey, it's Lovely Bones this week, I guess it's back to the past summer. Like, what the fuck? That wasn't what Merve just said. Also, Merve's not Bones. It's 2 a.m. I don't know what's going on.
It's extremely cursed. This is a cursed podcast because it is our annual Halloween podcast.
That is true.
And every year it manages to be more cursed than the last. I think the last year we did it, we like threw all these weird vocal effects into the mix and messed with the intro. I don't know what Kappa's going to edit in this year. Probably some jump scares or something. I don't know.
Jump scare.
So
if there isn't at least 2 occasions that will make the audience poop their pants, what are we even doing?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, clearly we haven't been mailing them enough laxatives.
Merve just edited brown noise after we're done.
Oh, I'm gonna what after we're done?
I think.
You're just editing the brown noise.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you... Wait, is that what you call, like shitting noises in Australia?
Yes. The brown noise is a specific thing.
Yeah, it's a frequency that makes you poop your pants.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Is... Okay, yeah.
Okay, well, let's not start on pooping our pants.
I didn't know if that's what that was called, but now I know. So, yeah, listeners, diapers recommended for this episode. I mean, diapers just recommended in general because who has time to use toilets? But for this episode especially. So, what have y'all been playing? After that intro,
that's a transition.
That is a transition.
I haven't been playing any games where you poop your pants. There is.
You haven't been playing Death Stranding, clearly.
No, I'm done with that. So, I have been playing a bunch of games since the last time we spoke. I like 6-7 games. I don't know which one to choose. I don't know which ones exactly were we talked about. I
Pick the
did
least
play.
popular, most hipstery
Oh.
one.
Oh no! Oh no! I'm pretty
What's the
sure
game you
you.
can say that we'll all just have nothing to say about?
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, I've played games. Spiritfarer is probably not as. I mean, have people played here Spiritfarer?
I haven't myself, but I know a lot of people who have, and they
Yeah.
tell me it's lovely.
It is lovely. It is a very pretty game with extremely pretty animations. It is. It is. It looks like an animation from Studio Ghibli or Ghibli. I'm not sure how you say that.
So
but
they
it is-
pronounce Ghibli, but the original Italian word is pronounced Ghibli.
Okay, so it's screwed up.
So you're always right,
Down.
or always wrong, depending on whom you talk
Okay,
to.
I'm always wrong as always. Anyway, it is very pretty and it is quite adorable. The game is basically about being a spiritfarer, which is a person that takes souls from to the a transition from the living to the dead. I guess it's not never precisely said what happens when they move on when you help them transition into the afterlife, but
There are
you
lots
kind-
of light effects, from what I understand.
right and yeah.
So you're
and there-
effectively like an anime psychopomp.
you're like a what's that name? I also have been playing KDs, and there's a
Karen?
Karen, yeah.
Yeah, he's
So
one of
you're
the psychopomps.
Yeah, and you're effectively Karen. You take their responsibilities and transitioning these souls to the afterlife. Basically, you get souls on your little barge that you maintain and upgrade, and you do quests for these souls that are on your vessel, and you kind of have to do quests for them to be ready to move on to the afterlife. And it's a lot of exploration because there's a little bit of platforming involved because you're exploring you're the captain of this barge, so you're directed on various islands around this metaphysical weird limbo realm, I guess. And you also unlock certain abilities, so it's a little bit Metroidvania-y. So it is a bunch of different ideas in one game. There's a bit like farming also, so you kind of like get a bunch of crop items, and you have to grow them in order to make like vegetables, and then you use them to cook, and then you can feed your people on the barge with these foods and make them happier. So that is also important to progress with their relationship with you, and they also help with various activities on the barge. And
So it's
yeah.
kind of like Harvest Moon meets Necrobarista.
It is a little bit, yeah. That's quite an up.
I remember when we
comparison.
saw it at E3 last year, we called it Animal Crossing, but they die.
Yeah, a little bit, yes, because the companions on your barge, they are never around for a long time. You kind of finish their quests. I think like 2 quests or something. Depends on the character, I suppose. And then they move on, and then you get a new character on the barge. You can have like a couple of characters on the barge depending on how much of how upgraded it is, how big of a barge it is, because you also upgrade everything, and everything has kind of like real time time mechanics. So sometimes you have to wait like 60 seconds for something to end, sometimes like 5 minutes, sometimes it's longer. Going from an island to an island also takes real time, so you have time to like maintain the barge and cook and do whatever and fish while transitioning from one island to another. And again, by going to different lands, you get to resolve quests of your of the people on your barge, and also recruit new people on your barge. So that's the whole thing. That's basically what the game is. It is, as I said, exceptionally pretty. I got a little bit. It's a little bit daunting. It's a little bit. It's slow. It's very slow, and I'm not vibing with all of the gameplay elements, especially the ones that hold you back from progressing too quickly.
I just looked it up on how long to beat, and it lists an average time of 22 and a half hours.
Yes, it is exceptionally slow for what it is. For what it is, it's exceptionally slow. I think if you were to condense the whole game, it would be way shorter. But they stretch everything out into excruciating sometimes. It feels a bit too long between two important events. There's a lot of downtime and finding the required thing to progress the quest, or the required ability to get to the part of the island, one of the islands on the map that holds a certain item with which you can resolve a quest. So.
It seems like the kind of thing where downtime should be a good part of the emotional process, though. Just
yes,
as an outside observer.
It should be, but it's
also, this is 20 hours is still scaled way down from fucking, most management type games.
Oh yes, obviously yes. I just didn't I didn't find the mechanics that were taking the most time as enjoyable as the progression of the quests that was the most interesting but the most stretched out. So
maybe they'll make Spiritfarer remastered with the Swift sale.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I wish they would.
About this game though. So have you played their last couple of games?
Which
studio?
They made Jotun and Sundered.
I have seen Sundered, but I haven't played it. No.
Like, both their last games were like these really hard action games. So is there any of that in this?
No, not really. There's no fighting really. There's a little bit of dodging some things. There's a little bit of platforming, but everything is super low key.
That's a wild change from their last game.
What I'm gonna say, it is exceptionally pleasant to be in this world. It's very beautiful. As I said, if I had more patience, I suppose, and didn't have other games and all the other stuff happening in my life that I have to take care of, I'd probably be like, okay, I can sit here for like 2 hours and maintain these plants and cook and do all this stuff and be fine with it. But I guess I'm not as patient as this game would require me to be, and that's fine. I think some people will love this game. I don't think it's especially for me, but again, it's beautiful. If you have not seen it in action, you absolutely should, because the animations are adorable. You can hug everyone on your barge, and it's
you have like a dedicated hug button.
Yes, it's basically a dedicated hug button.
That's nice.
Yeah, it seems very pretty and very cute, and I look forward to trying it out eventually. Yeah. Probably in the pre-GOTY rush in early 2021.
Yeah.
So all right.
If you like the beauty and the art style, and thought it was a bit slow, definitely give Jotun a shot. It's like similar, like. Their games are all gorgeous, and Jotun is nothing but crazy boss fights. It's just a boss game.
Oh,
and Sundered's like a co-op action platformer, right?
Sundered's randomly generated Metroidvania.
Okay.
It also looks very pretty from what I remember, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's gorgeous. Sundered, it's the whole kind of like randomly generated room things, which doesn't really work as well with Metroidvania, I find, but like...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's at least an interesting experiment. It looks cool in motion from what I've seen. DW, what have you been playing?
I've been playing this week. I've been replaying Devil May Cry 3. Yeah, I got the Switch version, which adds features, namely style switching. So styles are like these mechanics that like allow you to do a specific move to the B or circle or what have you button. So like if you choose one style, you can dodge, and the other it gives you more moves for your melee weapon. So that's been sort of like a very because in the original version, you can only choose one style at a time. So it just leads to more interesting gameplay options.
I've been really meaning to get the Switch version, except my Switch has really bad Joy-Con drift, so that would be a nightmare. But yeah, putting like on-the-fly style switching in 3 seems like fucking insane.
Yeah, it really is. It's actually like you still have to like level up the styles, which is like instead of like buying them like in the future games, but it's still like a nice addition. I put it on for Pro Controller, so I don't have to deal with the drift. So that's nice.
Cool.
So how does the style leveling system work? Is it the more you use it, the more it levels up?
Yeah, pretty much. The more enemies you kill with like a style selected, the more it'll gain experience, and then that experience will level up. So it's like,
So this is part of the collection of the 3 games, and you're playing it on Switch, yeah?
the Switch versions aren't in a collection. They're all released individually, which is weird.
Okay.
So
Yep.
Switch version means you have to buy Devil May Cry 2 on its own, which
yeah,
Yep.
is the most
For
insane.
$20.
yeah.
Yeah,
people
Capcom's wild him.
don't know what Devil May Cry 2 is. It's bad.
It is
Yeah.
bad. It is bad.
Like, we almost killed the franchise bad.
Yeah. But the third one, so you're enjoying it, and does it have any problems or issues? Have they ported it well? Is it running well?
Yeah, from what I can tell, it's running well. There might, I can't tell if there are like any graphical hiccups. I feel like the pre-render cutscenes, obviously are like a little lower quality, but overall,
Right.
I think it's an okay
Okay.
port.
And
I thought
and
the
do you,
cutscenes in DMC3 were in engine.
No,
they
some
look
are, like,
in
They're
engine.
just using in-engine models.
yeah, that's what it is, and it's just like I don't know what resolution is, but it's kind of low. So
Mhm.
you can notice between like those cutscenes and the real time ones.
Would you recommend it to someone like? Do you think it's still playable? It's still good? It's still fun?
Yes, I do. It's one of my favorite games of all time.
Cool.
And the cool thing about like this game is it pretty much like the MC1 sort of was like the forefather of the character action genre, whereas this is like the one that solidified it as like
Mhm.
wild action, stylish combos, very jokey protagonist. So it's sort of kind of
Basically, if you watch the Stage 1 intro cutscene, you'll know whether the game's for you or not.
yeah, pretty
It's
much
the best thing ever made.
yeah.
All right, Bones, what have you been playing?
Do you mind if I tell a story real quick? I'll keep it short, I promise. Which is that
This
which
podcast.
is
Where a story about what?
a story about Devil May Cry, which is
All right, sure. Let's hear it.
which is Devil May Cry, among other series that started PS2 only, well, not PS2 only, but like Tekken. Tekken was PlayStation only and arcade for a long time. Because when I was younger, I really only followed video games through official Xbox magazine for a long time, and Xbox was how I understood and learned about games, and a little bit like the really big Nintendo stuff I would pay attention to, but it was mostly Xbox. So as far as I was concerned, Devil May Cry did not exist until suddenly Xbox magazine had a review of Devil May Cry 4 in 2008. I was like, there are 4 of these? How have I never heard of it? But I was just that completely out of touch with PlayStation stuff. And I've been processing how weird that is recently.
I was so out of touch with video games for the longest time that I didn't know about the Devil May Cry series until the DMC reboot came out.
Oh my god, that's impressive.
And then everybody was angry about new Dante, and I was like, who the
Yeah.
fuck is the old Dante? And they're like, oh, they've made 5 of these? What?
Were they positive on the Devil May Cry 4 in that magazine?
I think the review was like a 7 out of 10.
Oh, nice.
Honestly, the game. I don't even know how to talk about Devil. That game's amazing, but also kind of shit. And
DMC4, yeah.
like, because that game is really, really good, and then they ran out of money, and they just you do
Oh.
the
And then,
entire game again.
then it does
That's the
recycle
bummer.
levels over and over.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
so it's like Halo 2,
Yeah, I
where it just kind of
remember
ends.
As Nero, you get to a point, you swap to Dante, then you just do all the levels again backwards.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard
Oh,
about the
no.
level recycling and also weird puzzles.
Yeah.
Oh no, level recycling is the bane of my existence.
Yeah.
Devil May Cry is a franchise where there are 2 games where they've got to make the games that they wanted to make, and it's Devil May Cry 3 and 5. The
Right,
rest
yeah.
of them all have gone through development hells.
Yeah.
Yeah, Devil May Cry 1, of course, was an early draft of Resident Evil 4, which is
Yeah.
the best origin story ever.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I just to wrap this up, I can tell you what I remember about that Devil May Cry, what else I remember about that review in Xbox Magazine. So Xbox Magazine like scaled the reviews by how marketable they think the game was to their core demographic. You know, there were cover story reviews that would be like several pages. There would be like the mid-tier ones that would be like a full page of text with a picture, and then there were ones that were like a half page or less. Devil May Cry 4 was like a third of a page.
Right, yeah.
Oh, that hurts.
Just a couple paragraphs at the bottom.
So only one person responsible for all of these reviews that were
Yeah.
only him.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's. Listen, when Capcom decides to release the 4th game in the series as the first one on your console,
Yeah.
you're,
It's so funny that we're now at a point where the next Xbox is launching with a JRPG as one of its 2 biggest launch titles, which
Right.
I think is
that I was gonna say, because
hilarious.
Xbox had its own Japanese character action exclusive franchise with Ninja Gaiden, so it's weird that they would think that no one would be interested in Devil May Cry.
yeah, they had Ninja Gaiden and Ninja Gaiden Black, and of course there was stuff like Blue Dragon. Fucking
Oh,
Blue
yeah.
Dragon.
Blue Dragon
Hey.
RPG made by the X Square people.
Yeah, it was the X Square people. It has like a Dragon Questy, Dragon Ball Z art style. Anyway, I'm sorry. So I've been playing Ori and the Blind Forest.
Oh,
Definitive
yeah.
edition.
nice.
Love that
Yeah.
game.
The first
yes.
story.
Yes, the first one. Yeah, on
Mhm,
Switch. I'm actually on a break from it right now because like I adore that game. I really do think it's like
Mhm.
nigh perfect, but it's also kind of exhausting.
Oh yeah, it fucks with your hands.
Totally.
That game is
oh my
fucking
god,
hard.
yes. Yes, my hands get so sore playing it.
Yeah.
Also, that I think that's the game that has made me like decide that I need to quit How Long to Beat Hold Turkey, because cold turkey, because like their estimates will always be smaller than what my total is.
Oh, half the people
and
who
I-
submit times there are just bragging. That's what
I
you
mean,
gotta
that's-
add
that's-
like 30%.
That's I guess that's fair, but I'm also just I'm generally used to like I play games a little slower than most people. I take longer, and so on. Everything except Dark Souls for some reason. But yeah, I'm at 10 hours in that game, and Merve, I know you've played it.
Yeah.
I'm at the start of the second tree.
Okay, yeah, you're playing slower than I was.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That took
Yeah,
me
that's
about 15 hours to beat, I would say. But I wasn't doing too much side content.
Yeah, I think
Right.
I beat that game in like 8 hours or something.
Yeah, that sounds like you, Ben. That's not meant as a negative whatsoever, but yeah.
No,
Alright.
my friend was already pissed off at me because he just beat the second one and was comparing his like time to me, and it's like, oh, and yeah, it was like I was 7 hours and he was like 22.
I will say the second one is a little easier than the first one.
I've heard that.
Or I should say that the easier parts are harder and the harder parts are easier.
I
I
say.
I disagree. I've got way more frustrated playing the second one than I did with the first one.
I haven't completed the second one,
I
but
think,
the first
well, the
one.
second one was like the optional stuff is like way harder. But like the critical path is easier.
The first one had like a really crappy, like very difficult end game. I remember.
Oh yeah, that final chase sequence took me like 40 tries.
Yeah.
My problem with the second one was I feel like the first one you have like your limited range of options of like things you can do, but the second one has like too many things tied to the same button that it's trying to intuitively switch between, and it doesn't always get it right, which led to me dying so many times.
Oh yeah.
The second one.
It plays the second. It's the secret to Ori is that it's the only 2D platformer that plays better with mouse and keyboard.
Oh.
I can
No,
imagine
thank you.
it does.
Oh, because it
Okay.
bash, yeah, it would definitely.
Yeah,
The
it
second
works
one-
so much better with mouse and keyboard.
The second
It's
one
so weird.
bugged out on me so badly that I didn't want to play it anymore.
Yeah,
Almost
I-
broke the whole game basically because it after a cutscene happened it killed me and then respawned me a little bit earlier and then I couldn't get back into the thing that made the cutscene happen. So it was basically I had to like reboot the game and then it allowed me to get back into it and then the cutscene happened again. It was kind of a weird loop. And then
Will of the Wisp, as I understand, has had a couple rough launches.
yeah, it
Like
was
real struggling on Xbox One and then crashing a lot on Switch.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
an
I'm
important question for you though, Bones.
yes.
How many times have you cried playing the game?
I cried very extensively during the first like half hour
Yes,
for
me
sure.
too.
That
Like,
that
oh.
that opening sequence is incredible.
yes.
And we're like
Yeah,
not
but-
counting wrist or finger pain here.
Yes. No. Yeah. No. I mean,
Yeah.
just the drama of it all
Oh.
in the
That
beginning is
just
yeah.
soul crushing.
Yeah, it's like a
devastating.
a Pixar level of emotional gut punch.
Oh,
And,
it's totally like the intro of Up.
yeah. It's oh.
Yeah. It's very much that.
You
meme.
do you like so you like it?
I really like it. Yeah. Yeah. Like the
So pretty.
it is incredibly pretty. The and it's very very fun to play in handheld on Switch. The sequence at the end of the first zone of like you're running up this huge hollow tree as it's flooding with surging water. I that took me like an hour and a half. I died so many fucking times, but also like literally it's so thrilling and so cool and so tight that I never like got tired of it. It was worth taking that long for me. So yeah, I'm totally in the tank for this game. And I got it during Black Friday last year, a Black Friday sale on the Switch eShop, and then I started playing it when Ori 2 came out, just last month, and yeah, I'm gonna wait until Ori 2 is patched a little more and also the standard physical release is out. Because yeah,
That release. Oh my gosh, it looks so pretty.
Oh yeah, the collector's edition is very nice, but there's also going to be standard edition.
Oh, okay,
separate.
okay.
Yeah, because the collector's edition is $150.
Oh, okay.
And
But it
I
looks
can't-
so pretty though. Oh my
it
god.
is very very pretty for sure.
Yeah.
I am 8-bit does incredible work. But yeah, I can't afford to spend $150.
No,
bucks
yeah,
on
that's
games
insane.
right
That's
now.
an insane.
I talked about this in the night thread. I know Merve saw it. I just finally bought a capture card. I had been hemming and hawing about it for a long time about when I should or do I want to get one.
Sorry, I just
Because-
looked at what the collector's edition looks like, and
Yeah.
wow.
Oh yeah, it's incredible. Yeah. Yeah, because you know, capture cards can run really expensive if you really want like the best possible one. I was really trying to find a good balance between like quality and costs, and there was one that was $50 that was 20% off on Prime Day, and you know I have a lot of feelings about supporting Amazon, especially during events like that, but It was a really fucking good deal, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really feel like I need something like that for my job at this point.
At a certain point, you just have to buy what you need to do what you got to do.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think getting that one for $40 instead of getting the really really cheap ones that are USB 2.0 and only 30 FPS. I think it's a good balance. You know, it's affordable-ish, but it's better quality than the cheapest ones.
I think nowadays you really need, like, especially if you're capturing gameplay footage to upload, it needs to be at like 60 FPS.
Yeah.
That's kind of the standard these days.
Yeah. Plus, you know, I'm assuming they'll eventually get next gen hardware, you know, at some point. So I want this to be future proofed for that.
Makes sense.
Agree.
Yeah.
So Ben, what have you been playing?
Darksiders, pretty good.
Huh.
The first one, the second one, the third one, or the weird top-down one?
I just marathoned the first 3 games. So I'll talk about Darksiders 3 because I think that game's really underrated. It came out and was like kind of got like middling reviews. So I went into it without very high expectations.
There was like 6 years between the second and third because of they were having like
THQ.
financial issues. Also because THQ, yeah.
All of the THQ publishing, and then that all went to hell. And Darksiders 3 is really fucking good, you guys. Like, I don't get why it got such bad reviews. It's easily the best one, and I liked the other 2. So, the weird thing about Darksiders is every single game is just completely wholesale ripping off an entirely different game.
Yeah.
So, like, Darksiders 1 is Zelda with God of War combat. Darksiders 2 is Prince of Persia with Devil May Cry combat. Darksiders 3 is Dark Souls with Metroidvania progression, which works really well, and I don't know why no one had done that before, because it just feels amazing. And it also is the first game that actually gives the protagonist, like, a character arc, because like, War in the first game is just a fucking idiot who's just wandering around being manipulated by everyone around him, and like, dude's a moron. Darksiders 2 has Death is like going around trying to help War from the plots are very complicated, but Darksiders 2 is basically just a series of collect 3 MacGuffin quests one after another for like 30 hours. That's all that game is. There's literally a point in that fucking game where one dude tells you, go and collect these 3 souls of dudes for me, and you go to one of the dudes, and he's like, I'll only do it if you collect these 3 souls of other dudes for me. Like, MacGuffin had 3 MacGuffins of his own to collect.
Oh boy.
That is some game.
Shoot myself.
Yeah.
Like, and that was really disappointing because Darksiders 2 is a game where, like, I really like the combat. I really liked the what do you call it? How you move around a game?
Movement?
Yeah, let's go. You know what
Man.
I mean. I really
Merve.
like that.
Jesus.
And like that game, but Darksiders 3, it plays like Dark Souls. You
Sorry,
go-
who do you play as in Darksiders 3?
Darksiders 3, you're playing as Fury. Sorry.
Fury, okay.
Fury.
Okay.
You know, everyone knows that Horseman of the Apocalypse Fury.
Well, I actually looked this up because
No, I know. It still sounds absurd, though. You know that.
yeah, no, complete. And then this, it's a fucking dumb game. Like, it's fucking
Yeah.
Joe mad, being Joe mad. Anyway, and yeah, so basically, I'm going all
So there's less busy work, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, so Darksiders.
Unless you're the kind of person for whom Metroidvania is busy work, which I know is not the case for you at all, Ben.
That shit.
Yeah, I know, but
like, so Darksiders 3 starts off with like, you get given a mission. The 7 deadly sins have been released on Earth, and you have to go and hunt them all down. So you get sent down, and so the first game you have like you know, like your Navi fairy kind of character, who's like an evil shadow spirit played by Mark Hamill, and just full on Joker voicing. And so you get a similar kind of spirit in this game, but she just has a mad crush on Fury and basically wants to fuck her the entire time. Like, very different vibe. And so you go, and does anyone mind if I spoil like the first like hour of the game?
I absolutely do not mind.
Yeah.
Listeners are about to spoil the first hour of Darksiders 3.
Yep.
Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, so that's the main, like, that's the overarching plot. But then about an hour into the game, your horse gets killed.
Oh.
So then, basically, the plot of the game is just Fury being John Wick, going through the apocalypse and killing everyone that had anything to do with fucking with her horse. And,
Okay.
like, so that emotionally connected with me way more than the other games because, like, her horse got killed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
This
Then, like,
it sounds like in a lot of ways actually like a weirdly more accessible game, but because it came out so long after the other two, people just kind of dismissed it. That's kind of a shame.
It's a shame. Yeah, it's the third one in the franchise, so people were like, eh.
It's like the Metroidvania Dark Souls stuff works really well together. The actual depictions of the Seven Deadly Sins are some of my favorite. Like, Lust is like an androgynous warrior person who plays on your lust for power. They specifically make it not a sexual lust, which I'm always
Hey.
Nice.
There's a running joke in this game that everyone is played by Mark Hamill because so many people are doing a voice that sounds like Mark Hamill's Joker voice. Like Phil Lamar voices the vendor who sounds like Mark Hamill.
Okay.
Avarice is a sin who is like running around with a giant sack of stuff on his back that he throws at you. Sounds like a dude doing Mark Hamill's voice.
And Mark Hamill's Majima is just there for some reason.
My favorite is Envy is like a bowerbird that just keeps stealing stuff for their nest.
All right.
Like a bird person, which I thought that was great. But yeah, overall, only problem I would say, specifically playing on, I've got a release day Xbox One, like the oldest one you can get. That game loads real bad.
Yeah.
It's got the. Did anyone play Skyrim on a PS3?
Nope.
I barely played Skyrim, and I've never touched a PlayStation 3.
That game had a thing where the further you get in the game, because more of the state of the world has changed.
Oh yeah, that is true. And
load
also
time gets longer.
and also it had like memory issues and like weird stuff was happening.
Yeah, if you took too long to beat the game, you wouldn't be able to beat the game.
Yeah.
I did know that both of the era of Fallouts run like shit on PS3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question regarding the game though. Is it like, do you collect loot? Is it like do you have loot? Like, do you collect weapons?
Not really. Basically, the Metroidvania aspect of it is you get a new color hair after certain storyline events. So they're called hollows. I'm doing air quotes here. I don't know why no one can see them. So
you can scratch the mic when you're doing them so we can hear it.
Basically, as you go on, you get hollows which change your hair color and give you like a different elemental affinity, and the different hollow you have equipped will change what your secondary weapon is. So if you have the fire hollow equipped, you have like these little like spinny mace things. The lightning hollow, you have a lance. The purple hollow, you have a hammer. And,
Okay. So dedicated weapons for different fight styles. One of those games had like a loot thing going on, right?
Darksiders 2 has fucking like Diablo loot. And
okay. That's what I was thinking about. Okay.
Yeah, like, it's like kind of like, oh my god, I don't give a shit about getting 30 more different kinds of sight.
So anyway, you're saying it runs poorly on the Xbox One?
Yeah. So maybe like when you first started, the load times were like not even anything worth commenting on. By the end of that game, it was like the game starts loading. I walk off to the kitchen, get a drink.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Forget that I'm playing the game until I hear the sound. Like, oh shit, right. Rush back to play it, and that would be bad enough just when you die. Like, there's a lot of points in the game where just like progressing from one area to the next, it'll like hitch and there'll be like a little loading like icon down the bottom, and those could last like 30 seconds, and you can go through like 3 of them in like what feels like 10 meters.
No.
So what you're saying is that it needs next gen solid state drive. TM.
I'm actually really excited to replay it when my Xbox Series X gets here.
Yeah, no, I think that's completely valid given those circumstances. Yeah. Also, I just want to remind everyone that the GOTY editions of these games are hilarious.
Oh,
Darksiders 1 War Mastered Edition and Darksiders 2 Definitive Edition.
Oh my
Jeez.
god.
Like,
I really hope the third one is equally stupid.
Oh, I have so much respect for the amount of like they sat down and put effort into thinking of those names, and they
Yeah.
should have, but it's amazing, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, you should play Darksiders 3. It's really good.
Cool.
All right.
Legitimately sold me on it.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
It's I've never been super excited about the Darksiders franchise, but I feel like it's a blind spot in my gaming that I've missed, and I should probably fill it at some point.
Hey, Merve,
Yes.
like they're fine. Darksiders 3 is actually really good. Darksiders 1 and 2, they're fine. I'm basically playing them because I really like Joe Mad's art.
I mean, I've played a lot of games that are just fine.
Like
I
B
mean-
tier games. They're okay. They're fine. But
Like
you can
which
play
game,
them and
sorry?
have fun. B tier.
Yeah.
Oh, B tier. I thought there's some
yeah,
some series
games,
called B tier that was like a meteor, but
Yeah.
I was imagining like a
yeah.
space rhythm game.
One thing I will say about the first two games, though, like they have Zelda item progression kind of thing. Like you get a new item, unlock a new area, and everything. And both games give you a portal gun at the end of the game, and doing Zelda-style puzzles with a portal gun kind of fucking rules.
Yeah. I wish people were using portal mechanics in their games more because it's a fun thing. It breaks
So you
the
know
game
which
a little
game,
bit, I think.
like,
though.
you know
God
which
knows
game
Valve
surprisingly
is
has
only ever going to do a new Half-Life every decade now.
Yeah.
Why not just put Portal and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You know which
fuck,
game
what if they
surprisingly-
make a Portal VR game? That would
Um,
rule.
that would give people so
that-
much motion
yeah,
sickness.
that would be so motion sick.
Yeah.
You know which game surprisingly has portal mechanics in it? Golf with Your Friends.
Ooh, I downloaded that. I've been meaning to play it.
Yeah, I mean it's a janky ass mini golf game, but there are
Yeah.
courses that have portals. It's fucking weird.
Did they bring portals back for the new Prey?
No,
Don't
No.
think so. Yeah.
no, there's
Yeah.
no teleporting or anything like that.
Yeah.
They were a
new
big
Prey.
part of the first game, and it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Portal, and
Yeah.
they were really cool.
They were very much a part of the 06 game, which it's kind of a shame. But
best
but you know,
part of
we
the
all
game.
know what happened to that version of the new Prey.
Pull one out.
it got put in the garbage disposal.
Okay, so the thing that gets me about that is the really funny thing is apparently people who had the old Prey installed and
Oh, yeah.
bought the
Yeah.
new Prey,
Yeah.
they had because of folder naming conventions that Steam uses, it installed the new Prey over the old Prey or something like that. I'll have to look it up.
Fantastic.
It straight up erased people's copies of the original game, which is seems like the most evil thing in the world was pure hilarious serendipity.
Yeah, I
That's
think
That's what
they
you
ended up
get
fixing
when
it.
That's what you
but-
get when you name your game exactly like the
Seriously, oh
Why
my
couldn't they call
God.
it Prey 2?
Yeah.
Do people
you-
have such fond memories of the Prey franchise that they want to?
Can you imagine if every
capitalize-
Halloween movie was a video game? So you have 3 different Halloween games overwriting each other.
Or can you imagine if Weezer were just released video games, and you just call them the blue game, the green game, the white game?
Oh my god.
Anyway, I've been playing video games. I can talk about either Genshin Impact or Raji in Ancient Epic.
I haven't heard of Raji.
I know which one I would want to hear about.
I've been playing both of them, surprisingly enough.
Okay, so which one do y'all want to hear about?
I vote for Raji. I don't know much about it, but
I'm
depends
only
on-
45 minutes in Toraji, but I can talk a bit about it. So
Oh yeah, you were waiting for it to come out on PC, and it just came out on PC. That's right.
yeah, I was waiting for
remember
a
that.
PC version because I don't know why I was waiting for it. Actually, it looks gorgeous on PC, by the way.
I'm sure.
So I haven't seen how it looks on Switch, but it runs like butter smooth on PC. So
Pretty good on
it's
Switch, too.
Yeah.
pardon me.
I played it on Switch. It's like I had no problem with it. It looks great.
Yeah, it's an interesting game. From what again, I'm only like an hour in, but it's like I guess you could say like a top-down 3D Prince of Persia almost
Oh.
in a lot of ways. It has a surprising number of like action mechanics. It's not just light attack, heavy attack, jump. There's like dodge attacks and then swinging from poles and like wall running to kill enemies and stuff like that. And that's just introduced in the first half hour of the game. And it thus far it's playing a lot off stories from Hindu mythology. And as someone who was raised Hindu, I recognize kind of some of this stuff, but not all. They've done a really good job capturing a lot of that artwork that I'm familiar with. And so, yeah, it's been interesting kind of seeing stories that I'm kind of tangentially familiar with being remixed into a video game. I almost had the thought of like recording my gameplay of it and sending it to my parents because I think that they would find it somewhat interesting.
Yeah, that's a lovely idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't go through with it because I'm lazy and didn't want to restart the game.
As we all are.
That's fair.
As we all are.
But yeah, otherwise, yeah, I've been having fun with it. I think it's not janky at all, really. But you can kind of see the seams sometimes. Like you can see where they didn't have the budget to fill in some animations, so sometimes you get kind of that instantly teleporting or instantly like changing the position of the character model for certain moves. But for the most part, it's a pretty well made, bug free kind of production, and I'm eager to see what else the studio puts out in the future.
Cool.
Yeah, this game has a lot of production backstory to it that's becoming kind of famous very quickly. This woman who founded this studio in India, she had to sell her apartment to keep it funded,
Aww.
and there was a Kickstarter that failed, and then several publishing partners had to come in to provide funding to get it finished. And it's their very first game. I imagine it kind of wears some of the consequences of that on its sleeve, but I think it's only right for them to get the chance to keep refining their work.
Yeah, I mean, I think they've done a good job with it.
I
So-
really wanted to like it, and I don't. I don't think it's very good at all. I'm sorry. I went in with really high expectations, and I think which might be my own fault, but I can forgive games being janky. I just told you about fucking DARKSIDERS. I play a lot of janky bullshit, but I think the Prince of Persia stuff definitely takes a backseat to combat stuff. It's I thought there was going to be more of it, but it's very much just you do a couple of little bits between combat arenas mostly, and it's all tied to one button, which I don't think works very well. So jumping, wall run, all that kind of stuff is all just B. So it just feels weird. And then the combat, it doesn't feel like anything hits. There's no real reaction when you hit an enemy. There's a clear indication that you're actually hitting them, or when they're hitting them, or when to dodge. It feels very floaty and weird. And I was just I really wanted to like it.
Yeah, I can feel some of that. For me, the fact that I just see the health indicator go down is enough feedback for me. But it is a little bit less feedback than one might be used to, for sure. So yeah, it's not like I said. It's a little rough in some places, and that's kind of one of them, where you don't see that reaction immediately. But it's also for me enough visual and oral feedback that kind of get what's going on. But again, I've only played an hour of this so far. I don't know whether I'm going to get tired of the combat. It's 5 hours of this. I can imagine by hour 3 being like, fuck this game. But first hour, it's got my attention.
Cool. Merve, before we move on, can I quickly ask your opinion about one game that I just started playing? That I know
Sure.
that you. It's the Paradise Killer game. Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy your time with it?
Paradise Killer is my second favorite game of 2020 so far.
Cool. Oh, awesome. Okay,
I'm
I
really
played,
excited to check out Paradise Killer. Actually, that
played-
reminds me. I just got White Ocean Big Jacket finally
Oh,
after
cool.
you telling us about it.
Yeah, I
White
just-
Ocean Big Jacket's a good one.
Yeah, played an hour. of it,
Again,
and I
one of my
was like, wow,
favorites.
This seems very cool, but yeah.
What I'll say about Paradise Killer is you might not like it if you don't like first-person platforming. That's all I'm going to say.
There's a lot of it.
There's a lot more
Oh.
first-person platforming than you
But-
might think.
Yeah, I
there's
did
no fault
not.
of it.
Nothing about the externals of that game made me
Yeah.
expect platforming at all, or first person. But I mean, I love Mirror's Edge, so I'll give it a shot.
There's no fall damage, and it's very forgivable from what I experienced at
Okay.
least.
That's good too.
Thanks, Merv. So yeah, I'm
what-
having fun with it.
This looks neat.
It's gonna get it gets very weird very fast.
Yeah.
And once you start to piece together what happened, it unfolds in a really interesting way.
Cool.
What I will say is that it's not exactly like Danganronpa in that, like, when you play a Danganronpa game, you gather evidence, you have no clue how it all fits together, then you go to a trial and it all comes together. Paradise Killer, you kind of know what's going on before you get to the big trial phase at the end. And then it gets pieced together a little more.
Cool. Okay, so I won't be stressing around and looking for everything.
You will know when it's time.
Okay.
I'll say that. You'll have an idea of what's
Okay.
going
It sounds
on.
very very mysterious when you say that. Okay.
I mean, it's something mysterious. You'll
Okay.
have a sense of when you know enough to start
All right.
the trial.
Okay. Cool.
But I mean, you could just walk in whenever and just start accusing
Yeah, I
people
know.
willy nilly.
That's what the judge said. They're like, whatever, you can do whatever.
Anyway, let's move on to our main topic of discussion,
Yes.
which is scary gaming stories. And every Halloween, I have to come up with a theme for the Halloween episode. And this year, I decided, because it's a year where everything has gone wrong, we're going to talk about everything that has ever gone wrong for us when we've played video games. Our console crashes, our lost save files, our erased hard drives. The time we went to GameStop and a shelf fell on us and we were pinned underneath and we had to 127 hours off our own arm.
Wait,
You know,
what?
all the times we've done weird stuff like that.
Who's
Well, let's
we in
stop,
this
do we?
sentence?
I thought we all did that.
It's GameStop. They're not paid enough to rescue you from under the shelf.
I mean,
true.
sure, but did this actually happen to someone? I'm sorry.
No, I hope not. Like, I'm making jokes about this, and then someone's gonna send me some news story. Like, yeah, some guy got pinned under the shelf at GameStop, dumbass.
It's the episode where everyone thinks Bart had Principal Skinner murdered.
Oh yeah,
It's like,
yeah.
I was actually under this shelf dribbling a basketball for 3 days.
Oh yeah.
Sorry.
That's-
It's a good joke. It's a good episode.
Yeah, it's a good episode. Yeah.
Sorry.
God, I vaguely
No,
remember
it's-
that episode, but I can't remember
it's the
anything else about it.
avocado. It's the avocado. If we're not making Simpson references, what are we doing?
I mean, you're right.
I don't know, talking about pizza toppings.
I feel like we've had more jokes about the pizza discourse than we've had pizza discourse at this
I
point.
think so too.
I feel like so back in the day, what we used to do was, or I should say, what I used to do, because I was a dumb little troll child. Is
You were.
I don't know. I'm saying troll child. This is like 2 years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago, and you're way older than me.
So I would just every day I'd find a picture of the weirdest or stupidest pizza I could find and just post it and watch people's reactions.
Yeah,
And watch they
exactly.
melt down and see like, and we're talking like purposely impractical meme pizzas, like people baking entire burgers onto pizzas and then like dumping fries on top and just serving that shit to people. Nobody actually eats this shit. Nobody eats a fucking burger pizza.
Well, maybe some people do.
I try not to count out people's weird food tastes.
Yeah.
But also, I think to the extent I ever really engage with that stuff, I mostly tried to use those really absurd examples you were providing to prove that people who were getting nitpicky about fucking pineapple were being silly.
Yeah.
Look, all I'm saying is they did a Vegemite pizza at Pizza Capers for a while, and it was the best.
You know,
I don't believe you.
I
I
cannot
don't believe
beat.
they did it or that it was the best.
I don't believe that was good.
It was so good. I really missed them.
I've
never had Vegemite.
Yeah.
I should get on that. I've only ever had Marmite.
Marmite is trash.
Okay. Okay.
I
But you
didn't
do
even know
recommend-
there was a meaningful enough difference between the kinds of might.
I'm sure
this
like
hasn't
I'm sure
been the
like
first hour
like
of the podcast you were counting on Merve.
whatever. It's Halloween.
The
Nothing matters.
spookiest of subjects.
Honestly, if Merv doesn't prepare for this shit by now, that's really his own fault.
Little bit.
Oh.
Don't worry. Like shit has gone way more off the rails than this.
That is-
Yeah, that is true.
The first episode we did without Kappa ended with like Mike screaming about how he didn't care about me. He wanted a pinball machine or something like that. I don't even remember. Anyway, Marmite, not that bad. It's okay.
It is. It's trash. Don't trust him.
It's a very
So okay, so there is this expression, right? That if something's a little bit Marmite, it's like saying it's very polarizing. But I just find Marmite okay. I don't find it amazing or terrible. So that expression doesn't work on me. Anyway, scary stories.
So unplugged from both sides of this discourse. I was really just trying to say I'm sorry. I helped. What are we playing to take longer than you would have preferred? Which I'm
That's
just
okay.
extending that further.
That's we have nothing to talk about really. All I'm gonna do is complain about times like
we have nothing to talk about, really.
fuck it. Like, do y'all really want to hear about the time I scratched a CD?
I mean, actually, yes, legitimately,
sure,
but,
yeah.
Like-
but also, yeah, it's not going to be our most in-depth topic in the world.
Yeah.
Like okay, like DW Bones, you guys are a little bit younger than us.
Yeah.
So
Listen,
I don't know if you've had
dealt
the
with
experience.
Yes, I did.
Okay, so you've dealt with like games on CD-ROM, which were like huge in the late '90s, early aughts. That's how you played your games. This is before digital distribution. So and like
I feel so old.
Yeah,
I never
God
do.
damn.
As
Like,
the old way of playing games, like
I'm old enough to have played games off floppy disks.
I also played
Both
stuff on
sizes of
floppy
floppy disks. Like I
Well,
remember the big fucking ones.
disks. Well, I used floppy disks. I don't know if I played a game on floppy disk. That might be a little
Search
before me,
floppy
but
disk 12.
Yeah, so there's like the big fuckers and the 3.5ers.
there are big floppy disks.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
huge.
There are these huge fucking floppy.
How big are they?
They're
I don't-
About
very
as big as a CD.
Okay.
Yeah,
So they're the smaller
sometimes
ones.
bigger, I think, even.
And then you have the huge ass
Yeah,
ones.
yeah, huge ass one.
Uh, I forget the
What
different
about
sizes.
Tape decks? Anyone ever had to run
Oh,
programs on
God.
fucking tape?
Listen, I just googled big floppy disk, and I really fucking hope I did not misspell it. Holy shit, that's a really big floppy disk.
Oh yeah, they weigh.
Yeah, no,
some
that's
of
way
them are
bigger
huge.
than the ones I used. Like, I'm looking at this Wikipedia picture where there are 3 sizes of floppy disk. I don't think
Yeah.
I've ever seen something besides the smallest one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the smallest ones were basically reign supreme throughout the '90s. But if you had some old programs from the late 80s, they were probably running off the bigger kind.
No, I've never touched something from the 80s. How dare you?
I mean, I was born like in 1990, so everything I touched from the 80s is stuff
Wait.
that.
With Kappa not here, am I the oldest person here?
I was born
think-
in the 80s, so probably not.
Okay. At
Yeah.
least I'm not...
I forget which one of you two is older. You can work that out among yourselves.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. It really
I'm
doesn't.
33, so...
I'm 30. So like I always just used to tell
My girlfriend was born in 1990. It's okay. You're all perfectly normal.
we're all old. We're all just old farts. I used to say I used to like complain about the 80s because like I was born in 1990. Fuck the 80s, right? Like nothing important happened in the 80s. And then one day I said this like in front of my parents, and my dad looks at me. He's like, "You were conceived in the 80s." I was like, "Dad, what the fuck? Why would you say that?"
That's an upsetting sentence in both of its halves.
Oh my god.
Well, he got me to stop complaining about the 80s. It fucking worked.
Yeah. Kudos.
Like
The
way
one
to
thing
go,
I have to say about floppy disks and 90s CD-ROM and computer games and all that stuff is that's when I actually played computer games. That's the only time I ever fucking played computer games. Was when I played the N64 2.5D platformer of Disney's Tarzan on my parents' clunky desktop. So you're welcome for that story.
Wait, back up. What? The N64... Oh, so... Oh, God, I forget how young you are. Yep, never mind. Okay. You're playing it on an emulator, right?
No,
They
it was
released
the-
PC
it was
port.
the PC
Well,
release
on
of
your
it.
desktop.
It was the PC release of that game.
I'm following you now. I get things after they're explained to me like I'm a child.
Sorry, I think of it as the N64 game because I think of every like 90s 3D game as N64.
Wow, you
But-
really were on Switch from the PlayStation, weren't you?
Yeah.
I mean, my entire circle of friends were all Nintendo heads when I was a kid. PlayStation was just something I vaguely, like, understood as a thing.
Yeah, my first
I saw it in the stores.
My first exposure to PlayStation literally was my cousins owned a PlayStation 2. And I visited my cousins a lot when I was younger. So like seeing like I think a Ratchet and Clank question mark on their
Oh.
shelf and there being a PS2 in the living room, like that was it.
Okay.
I never
Europe-
touched a place. I never touched a fucking PlayStation until we got
Like-
a PS4.
It's
Sorry.
important to remember that in the 90s, Sega was still a thing.
Yes, yeah.
And,
Yeah,
like,
so
Sega
that's
consoles
what Sorry.
reigned supreme in some ways.
Uh,
And then the Dreamcast came out and kind of killed the dream.
yeah.
So-
I mean, in Europe,
Dreamcast.
it was only basically Sony PlayStation. That's it. That's not there was
Dreamcast, my first console. I will always remind people of that. Dreamcast was first for me, and then Xbox.
Okay.
It's a very weird trajectory.
I mean, the Xbox
Yeah.
is basically the Dreamcast too, so...
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
that was part of the
Yeah.
appeal to my brother.
Yeah.
That and we could say that like, oh well, Xbox didn't have a role in the demise of Sega, so we can't begrudge that the same way we did Sony and to a lesser extent Nintendo. Which that's people always say like, oh, PlayStation 2 hype was what killed the Dreamcast, but that's not really. I don't think
Sega
that's
killed
that
the
apt.
Dreamcast. Like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like the Dreamcast was dead before it came out. Frankly, like
Yeah.
Sega was in such a hole that
Yeah.
like there was just no realistic way the Dreamcast was gonna salvage that
Yeah.
situation, no matter how well it launched.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of affection now for the original Xbox that I
Too.
didn't have when it was there. I kind of miss the chunky ass, really not ergonomic controller.
the dude...
I let me be clear. I've probably talked about this before. I have for a 24-year-old adult, I have some of the daintiest fucking hands you can imagine. So the Duke was never my scene, not in 2001, and certainly not fucking now. But I respect it. I respect
Alright.
its
The
ethos.
thing is, I have hands that are big enough that the Duke was comfortable for me.
Right? Yeah.
Like,
You're not the only person who's told me that. I think that's insanity still, but
I have long, thin fingers, so the only controller that works well for me is the DualShock.
yeah.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I
I hate the DualShock. I will never be
that's
happy with that
insane,
controller.
dude.
I hate
Yeah.
having the. Anyway,
I
we don't have to get into
the
thumbstick
DualShock,
placement.
I love
I have
I
opinions
love
on
the
that.
Joy-Cons. I'm an adult for whom the Joy-Cons
Oh,
are
yeah.
a good sign.
Joy-Cons are great.
Best
My fingers are
controller
too long
ever
for the
made.
Joy-Cons.
Remote with a nunchuck. That's the most
Wait.
comfortable controller ever.
One second, this podcast took a strange turn. Weren't we supposed to talk about some spooky
Yeah,
stories?
I'm encouraging it because I don't even know how to transition into talking about this shit.
I mean,
Um,
90s PC games are spooky.
There you go.
My-
so
my
if
data-
you want to
my
hear
data-
some like,
Okay, if you want to transition to it, has anyone ever beat Tomb Raider 1, which I consider a 90s PC game because I played them on PC?
Oh my
I've
gosh.
never touched a Tomb Raider.
I
I've never
played,
rated
like,
two.
Hours
I've
and
only
hours
played
of-
the Tomb Raider
Stages
reboot.
of Tomb Raider 1 turn into
Oh, yeah.
Hellraiser?
Yeah,
kinda.
yeah, they get really like the
It's
walls are flesh and blood. It's super wild.
Wild.
Yeah, yeah. I've talked about that having never played a game of the series. It's very cool.
Yeah.
Wait, is that part of the game or is it like a
Yeah,
cheat?
no,
No,
that's
no,
the
like-
actual final level of the game.
The end of Tomb Raider is you go to Atlantis, and Atlantis is made of a flesh hell pit. Because, fuck it.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Why could they have some of that energy in the reboot games?
Have you played the reboot games? They
I-
kind of
Yeah, they.
I've
have
only played the
some
first
of it.
reboot game.
Like I
first
said, I haven't played any one of these.
The first
Yeah.
reboot game had like a little bit of the Descent vibes from
Yeah,
going
like-
in it. Yeah.
Huh.
like there's a
Yeah.
bit in
Interesting.
the fucking latest one where you're like climbing over blood walls as like
Yeah,
goblin cave people
yeah,
climb everywhere, and like no, they definitely captured some of
Huh.
that vibe.
yeah.
Okay, because the first reboot was a little tame in that regard. Like it wasn't so bonkers and out there. It was very
I
grounded.
don't know. It was a little bonkers.
First reboot has like a shot-for-shot recreation of the bit where she comes out of like the blood pool from
Yeah.
Descent.
yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it's like, oh yeah, it's tame. Like there were blood pools.
Tame in the sense of not being like bonkers off the wall.
But comparing
Like blood
it to
pools. I've played so
Uncharted-
many video games. I'm desensitized to
I
blood
know, but
pools.
comparing it to Uncharted, you know.
Also, hold on a second. This is supposed to be Atlantis. This picture I
know.
just pulled up.
Well,
What the shit?
Oh, let me
You
take a
know.
fucking.
How do we
It's like-
get to the chat again? Oh, I think I found it. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, that.
And let me be clear. I've looked at these pictures before. I was literally just telling another friend about the design of this level the other day, but I had no idea this was depicting Atlantis.
Wait,
Wait,
this is
that makes-
supposed to be
dear
flesh.
listener, we're looking
Oh,
at.
could you
screenshots.
imagine? Oh god.
Looks like
Okay,
a
could you
Quake
imagine
level.
retexturing the monster levels from Kingdom Hearts with these textures?
Yes, right.
It'd be
That'd
so
be
fucking
incredible.
Like, I'm looking like
That
I'm
would
looking
make
at Quake,
Kingdom Hearts
basically.
good. Sorry. I'm sorry. I've been very loud today.
I mean, I'm yelling and I live in an apartment. My neighbor probably fucking hates me. My
Don't worry,
neighbor is a
it's 3:30 in the
superintendent.
morning here. Like, I'm pretty sure I've got your beats.
I'm trying to make sure
Yeah.
my family doesn't hear me.
Well, hey,
Um,
we gotta make sure that this picture is included in the link dump or something. Like people need to know about
Yeah.
Fleshland.
It does look like crazy Quake level, like a.
Yeah.
I love how it's got like skin on its shoulders and then the exposed rib cage.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it was like it has the skin epaulets, but it doesn't like it didn't fucking care about putting skin anywhere else.
I really like this. This looks cool. Oh,
Yeah,
man.
it totally looks cool.
Oh, this would have fucked with me in 1999, but now it just looks hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Like-
fucks with me and I find it hilarious.
Yeah.
It's so weird because that game doesn't slowly ramp up to this point.
Yeah.
It's like all like tombs and caves and like occasionally be like a dinosaur or something spooky like that. And it's just
Yeah.
like, okay, I wonder what this for. What the fuck is going on?
From the very beginning, though, it's weirdly eerie. This game is like has no music. It's just like creepy noises. I don't know. It always spooked me from the very beginning. I remember.
Well, music
Plus, it was
storage
very
these days.
atmospheric, yeah. But
Yeah.
the
Sure,
flesh
I
bits
believe you.
are kind of a wild swerve.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is a weird thing in that
Yeah.
game. That I think I have all these like the whole Tomb Raider collection. So I think I got it for free somewhere. So I think I'll go back and start digging
Oh,
through
they
it.
aged badly.
Oh yeah. It's
I'm sure
horrible.
they aged really badly.
Horrible
But
game.
they're probably
Oh,
still
cool.
better than you getting Modern Warfare 2019 for free with your graphics card, though.
Oh yeah, that game.
You get, oh man, you got ripped off. My mate got Assassin's Creed Valhalla with his.
Oh man. Modern Warfare 2019. So, like the thing about that game is like Call of Duty games have even when they're like politically questionable, let's say that's a euphemism, or an understatement. Even when they're questionable in that regard, they're generally thought to have good gameplay. But Modern Warfare 2019 is a boring ass game with terrible level design.
I
So-
tried playing Call of Duty 4 once to like get into the whole like, yeah, I'll give this franchise a shot, and it sucked. Like I don't think it's very
Cal-
good.
It's hard. It's like either you can really put it in that moment of this came out in 2007, or you're just gonna look at it the way it is, which is yeah.
It's like it's not a good first-person shooter, and that's a problem, right? And it's not like, and I mean, leaving aside the ethics of military shooters for a second, it's not like it's impossible to create an entertaining military shooter. I've played, Battlefield Bad Company 2 and really enjoyed it.
Battlefield Bad Company 2. I'm not trying to say this to call you out or anything. It's just literally the one you always say.
Because the only good one I've played. It's proof that this is possible. But the other ones I've played have all just been shitty games. They're not fun to play. They have terrible level design. The enemy encounters are
Do
not
they have
fun
a
to play
spooky
through.
Atlantis final level? That's what I want to know.
Even
That's
Spec Ops kind of sucked to play, and I really like that game.
Yeah, with Spec Ops honestly though is more fun to play than, I shouldn't say fun, more engaging to play than Call of Duty 2019. And kind of like part of the frustration kind of works with the story it's trying to tell. So it kind of like works as a package, but just like if you take that gameplay in isolation and were to like plop it in another game, I could see it being really like alienating.
For sure.
For sure.
Is 2019 the one with Ronald Reagan in?
No,
No,
Black Ops
that's the one that's
4.
coming out this year.
Yeah.
Black Ops Cold War.
They all blend together in my mind. I don't.
It's so weird.
So many war crimes.
It's so
Anyway.
weird that y'all are like talking about like the level design stuff when I only play like the multiplayer of these games and I've never like touched a single player of like Call of Duty in years.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I think that's like 50% of the player base.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
I played some of the original Modern Warfare multiplayer as a teen back in the day, but yeah, to the extent that I've engaged with the series, it's mostly the campaigns because I don't do multiplayer.
I would say the Call of Duty 2019 multiplayer is fun. Not like the co-op mode. The co-op mode is god awful. But the PvP is fun. So if you want,
I still find the history of Warzone to be amusing, though. Like, Warzone at one point was exclusive to Modern Warfare owners, and then it launched standalone this year. But depending on who you ask, it either launched in March or summer or whatever the fuck. Like, I find it all very confusing.
there's always a Call of Duty around the corner somewhere.
Yeah.
But that's... Yeah, never mind.
So speaking of weird PC game experiences,
Yeah.
I might have shared this one on the podcast before, but I think it's really funny and kind of spooky. So several years ago, I had a Radeon HD 7850 in my PC, and it fried. So I had to buy a new graphics card. So I got a GTX 970, connected it up myself.
I'm sorry, bro.
Bones just pressed F to pay respects, which was was that Advanced Warfare or
It was
Infinite
Advanced Warfare, yes.
It was
one
Advanced
that-
Warfare.
Oh,
That's right. There was a game called Infinite Warfare 2 after
Yes.
that.
Yeah, but yeah, I've been doing press F to pay respects for years in Rapid. Like that's one of Rapid's signature things.
Yeah.
F. Yeah, it's
Hold on a
become
second.
the meme. So anyway, so I got this new GTX 970. I was like, great, I'm gonna play more games now. Started playing Pillars of Eternity, and it just never stopped crashing. I was like, what the hell's going on?
You play
And
the
then-
Obsidian game.
I was like, oh, it's a fucking Obsidian game. This shit crashes all the time. But it would crash within like 5 minutes of playing the game. So eventually I realized it was actually a problem with my graphics card. The GTX 970 took 2 Molex connectors, and one of them had come loose, which was enough power to run the card
Oh yeah.
when I was just running Windows, but not enough power to run the card if I were doing anything else.
Damn, Pillars
So-
is actually not a graphically intensive game.
Yeah. But you need that much power to just like get the card working. So what I didn't realize is that all these repeated crashes had corrupted files in the game. So when I finally got it working again, one of the characters' names had been changed to Sassy the Merciless. I don't know how that happened.
The
Very
thing
strange.
about and I remember this because I read in the agenda. Sorry, everyone. But the thing about Sassy the Merciless is that sounds like the kind of name you would have made up yourself.
It
So I
does.
don't
So
know.
what I'm
It's not that
I'd
intrusive,
say
all
that
things
I would be
considered.
ashamed that I didn't think of myself.
Also that.
what I'm guessing is that there's a whole bunch of there's like a character created named Graveyard or something somewhere in that game, but there's like Kickstarter backer content in that game, and I'm guessing it was pulling names from that database and like sticking them in place of Durant's name, which I don't understand how that happened. But then again, it's an Obsidian game which is held together with chewing gum and masking tape. So
Yeah.
that's my weird gaming story.
Okay, if we want to talk about shit going weird on PC games, I played the PC version of Final Fantasy VII like back in the day before that they fixed it, like the one that came out at the same time as the PlayStation 1 version of Final
Yeah.
Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Which
Mhm.
already I was playing a copy that I rented from a local Civic Video and then copied all the files to my hard drive, which probably isn't a great way to play it. Fun thing about
Yeah.
that game though, they do not encode the cutscenes at all. They're just literally a folder labeled cutscenes with AVIs in it.
Cool.
But yeah, so big emotional moment in that game. Oh my god, I'm about to spoil Final Fantasy VII. Ares dies. Fuck off. After the cutscene finishes, there's a bit where you're in like the
see Ben. The problem with that spoiler is that it's a spoiler for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 4 in like 10
or
years.
is it?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, who knows, with Nomura, but
But like there's the bit.
Fuck you, Nomura.
seriously.
Yeah. But yeah, so there's a bit after she dies, and you're all like walking around in like the pool of water that Cloud just drops her in for some reason.
Yeah.
Weird burial. Anyway, someone's just gonna come along and be like, "Hey, what the fuck? There's a body there." Anyway, something happened which turned off the inverse kinematics on the character models, which are what it uses to make sure their feet stay on the ground. So Vincent's leg somehow was turned 90 degrees vertical, sticking up through his body, so his foot was coming out the top of his head as he
Nice.
hopped around, going on about like, oh shoot, like she was taken too soon and everything, as he's hopping around with a leg sticking out of his face, and it's just like really ruining the mood there, Vinny.
Oh man.
Awesome.
That's fun. That's fun.
That
Real
sounds like a
horror story?
significant improvement.
But the real horror
That's just perfect.
I played that game. I beat the weapons. I got the golden chocobo. I got all the ultimate weapons. I 100%ed that game. Then I went to the final crater where you fight Sephiroth, turn it off for the night, turn it on in the morning. Save file was corrupted.
Oh.
Oh no!
It's like 100 hours.
Oh.
But the good news is you could
So-
just access the end game, movie from the folder. So.
Just like press the AVI,
Yeah.
drag it over to real player.
Yep.
That's probably the worst save corruption I've ever had.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird cutscene jank, I remember when I was playing through Dragon Age Origins for the first time, there was this one combat encounter that I ended by setting my enemies on fire.
A
But the
classic.
problem with the way the engine works is that any effects that if you do it takes the character model right from the combat.
Yeah.
So any effects that are still working on the character are going to be playing through the cutscene. So there's like this 5-minute cutscene afterwards where the guy's just on fire the entire time. And like going through dialogue options where this soldier dude is just like in flames.
I really like the cutscene bugs from Dragon Age games. They always are fun.
They are
whenever-
always
yeah.
really fun.
Yeah.
That whole thing though with like the keeping the effects on, like I get why they wanted to do it, but I had way too many emotional cutscenes in that game where both characters like covered in a layer of blood.
Soaked in blood. Yeah,
Yeah.
they were really into the concept of just making sure that characters would have the blood of their enemies on them at all times right after
Very
battle. And
strange.
It's
it
like,
was such a weird choice in
do you
hindsight.
want to like have a bath before you make
Yeah.
out with Morgan Hawk? Or
I
like
think
that?
they were just very
Wait,
proud.
they
of
don't take off the blood for the love scenes?
I
I
don't
can't-
remember.
I can't remember.
Not
Because that would be
Like,
really
I don't-
weird if they had like blood on areas that were covered by their clothes. Like, how did that get there?
Maybe they specifically put it
soaks
there.
through. Like, what? Do you
But-
think they're like all wearing vinyl waterproof clothes?
But why would it soak through? Why would it soak through in that particular way? Like in a splotch pattern, like in a splash pattern.
It's just their thing, okay? Don't judge them. Right? That's not.
My headcanon is that they just like went out to hunt and like slaughtered a nug and then went and made
Oh.
love.
How dare you make me and Liliana sad like that? Also, yeah. In fairness, I genuinely like some of the characters in that series, like Zevron. I don't think Zevron would mind in the slightest having sex with blood on his body.
Oh no, he's definitely fucked.
like
someone
that is in
That's
character
canon.
to some extent at least.
Sure.
But it's also it was a very dumb aesthetic choice. So I have my story.
It's like a campfire.
Okay.
Yeah.
It is supposed to be
I'm
like a
hearing the
campfire.
crackling of
Hold
the
the
fire.
torch under your face now.
Mhm.
Wait, tell the story.
Yeah, she's got like the torch up in her face and she's like, oh wait, by torch I mean flashlight. I went
flashlight. Yeah.
not like an actual torch. She's not
She's
gonna
not
burn
burning
off her
her
chin.
face.
Yeah, I'm not putting fire on my face. That would be.
Do you guys call torches torches?
No, we call them flashlights.
Yeah, flashlights is the normal term.
I
in North
call them
America.
whatever because that's not my main language.
My parents call them a torch because they were raised in India and
Okay.
they speak that kind of English.
Right.
There's a lot of that growing up where they would call elevators lifts and I would insist they're elevators.
Elevators
Now they speak.
really mean the same thing. Like that one's at least a little more.
It's not as bad as pharmacist and chemist. What the fuck?
Chemist is- yeah, that is a strange one.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So
Wait, which one do
Submit
you
for
guys
the-
say?
We say pharmacist in North America.
We say both.
Okay.
submitted
That's
for
good.
the approval of the Midnight Society. I know I did that joke at the beginning, but I just love that quote.
We could just keep. We've recycled the same jokes over and over. That's just how we do this
Oh
podcast.
man,
Like,
you should have told me. I would have recycled the joke from the beginning.
We're 70 episodes in.
Like, and how many episodes have we mentioned Randy Pitchford, our
Oh,
best
boy.
friend?
Fairness,
Anyway,
Randy
Bones, you had a story.
Randy Pitchford does always bring new content to the table regularly. He's a very good content producer in that way.
He's shut up this year. I'm pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, it's really weird that like 2020 is such a year of hell, but Randy Pitchford of all people is on the down low.
He created it all, and then he like stepped back from his creation.
No,
He had, like, a big Twitter post that went viral though. It was not.
Wait.
It was completely innocuous though. He just has like the first box PS5 copy for that
Godfall.
Oh God,
Godfall,
yeah.
Yeah, I love how it's such a generic ass fucking game that we can't even remember what it's
I
called.
was literally looking at the photo and I couldn't remember the name.
Good.
I mean, it doesn't look like a bad game. It just looks like nothing I want to
looks
play.
mediocre.
It looks like
But
a
yeah,
game.
My
It is a
theory-
video game.
My
Oh,
theory
it's your
was
story.
still
Sorry.
that it's okay. My theory about Randy is that he'll come roaring back eventually. Like
Oh yeah.
like we're saying he's quiet now, but when he's not quiet anymore, like it will be the worst thing yet from him.
Yeah, it'll be like a Randy 2024 presidential run or something.
Yeah, and it'll be hilariously timed to some Borderlands 3 expansion or something. Anyway, okay. So
Wait,
when I
Borderlands
was
3 in 2024? They're still releasing expansions? Sorry, Bones, your story.
We're not going to reach the story.
I know, right? I was
We're
considering
never
that
reaching
a
the fireworks
separate joke
factory.
from the presidential election joke. Although to be fair, like elections start so early.
When
At
are
this
we
point.
getting to the story time factory?
I'm sorry.
This is mostly my fault. Bones, please, your
Yeah.
story.
Okay, yeah. So when I was in high school, the Xbox 360 reigned supreme. Spoiler alert, yes, I was an American teenager in the 2010s and early and late 2000s. This was not even the first 360 I had to myself, I believe. I believe it was my second because my first one red reigned. Also, my dad's parents are rich Republicans, and they just send us fancy shit all the time. Which is how, yeah, my brother and I went through like 3 different original Xboxes and 360s each.
Wow.
As teens, yeah. Yeah, very incredibly privileged for sure. But anyway, the point is I had a 360. It was the fall of 2011. I got Saints Row the Third, which I did not enjoy at the time. And I also got Batman Arkham City. And I was not that far into Arkham City. I would say like maybe 5-10 hours. I'd rescued Catwoman from Two-Face. I had done some stuff. I'd explored a bit.
Yeah.
But I hadn't gone that far into the story, really. And then one day, I had a hard crash mid-game. And when I restarted my Xbox 360, the save files were gone. They were just it hard crashed and lost the saves all at once.
That's a bummer.
Oh no.
And this was like Christmas Day.
Oh.
Oh no.
But that's
even
not the scariest part, in my opinion. The scariest part.
You even get
was
an
when-
achievement for playing the game on Christmas, I believe.
Sorry.
You actually get an achievement for playing the game on Christmas.
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, and they had all the dumb calendar man gimmicky stuff. Anyway, so I tried to play the game again from the beginning, and boy, if there's an early 2010s game that suffers from you having to play the beginning twice in very quick succession, it's Batman Arkham City, where by the time I had heard the word bitch for the 500th time, I was very tired.
It starts off with you like locked in. Like,
Yeah, it's Bruce Wayne getting thrown into the fencing with the criminals. Yeah.
That's like playthrough 1, so I can't imagine doing that.
And I don't even really mean that. I mean like the aesthetic, the narrative, the dialogue. Like it really threw like as in semi-edgy teenager, like it really threw cold water in my face. I was like, this is so fucking boring and juvenile, and I don't have the patience for this.
Yeah.
It's it's really unnecessarily edgy.
The
And they
penguin's
took some of that
monocle
out.
is the shattered glass of a bottle shoved into his eye.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Also, Nolan North's
And-
voice for the
Fuck.
penguin is very bad.
It
Like,
Yeah.
they took some of it out for Origins and Night, which have other problems.
yes.
But Arkham City is probably the most self-consciously edgy
It's
of all of them.
incredibly edgy.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was the last one I touched. Like, I
Oh my! I never realized the thing about his monocle.
Yeah.
oh, really?
Yeah.
That's the funniest
It's
shit.
it's really dumb. Yeah.
Rocksteady made sure to have, like, PR material that would point it out.
Oh my god! I can't believe they thought that was a good idea.
I know. But yeah, so yeah, that's how I was weaned cold turkey off edgy superheroes in 2011.
All right. So some good
Why
came out
doesn't
of
he
it.
just take it
Yeah.
out?
You can't take it out because you would bleed to death. It's just they recommend you don't do that. If someone
it was-
stabs you,
It was
just
If
leave
his
the
eye
knife in.
still works, it's not in that.
It was a prescription bottle.
Exactly. Not only he was stabbed
Yeah, so,
20
like,
years
his
ago
eye
in
is-
his eye.
Fine, right? Like, so if it's
Yeah,
just
no, yeah.
it's not actually a corrective lens.
Well, isn't it though? We don't know.
Dude,
You're
just
welcome.
take it out.
It's really
Take
dumb.
It out.
I've given Ben an existential crisis about Arkham City.
I didn't even realize that that was the case.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I might have,
this
like, they have like a character codex. I might have read it and just been
Oh.
like,
like
okay,
I
this
said,
is dumb,
like,
and ignored it.
the marketing materials
So you can
really
totally
wanted
see
you
if
to.
Look at it.
Yeah, no.
I
In
just-
2011, sorry, in 2011, the marketing materials really made a point of underlining it. They really wanted people to notice it.
Okay.
So this
Yeah.
is a hilarious
I can-
conversation.
Oh, now I see it.
Yeah. I kind of
Yeah.
noticed it in the game, and I was like, "Well, that's dumb," and moved on. It's just like, so,
yeah, we're
Oh, that's
making a
gross.
slightly
It's
bigger deal
stupid.
out of it. but-
yeah, they never addressed it, thankfully. God.
Yeah, it's not talked about in the game at least.
Yeah.
I guess.
Rocksteady
You-
aesthetics
you
are
wanna
so
know-
weird.
Rocksteady is many things. You want to know how I got this monocle?
Oh, I got this bottle in my head. No, not really. You should go to a hospital.
How does that even happen?
I can't.
Like, how do you accidentally just get like the bottom couple of centimeters of a bottle stuck in your head?
Maybe the whole bottle is stuck up in there.
In his brain.
Maybe
That couldn't happen if someone...
maybe the other side of the head has the top of the bottle sticking out.
Yeah, it's like that dude in the
That-
Valve logo, but it's the
Yeah.
beer bottle sticking out the package.
That's why he has the coat on. The coat's hiding the other end of the bottle.
But like, someone glasses you with a bottle. That...
Okay, but also like this was a character design choice. Someone thought of this. Someone approved it.
And they just executed the idea.
Yeah.
I hate
Lovingly
it so
rendered
much.
bottle in the head.
I hate
Yeah.
it so much.
I know.
Yeah, it's
but
bad.
It does tell you brought to you by the same studio that's bringing us Suicide Squad: Kill the Justice League.
Oh yeah. Ugh.
With Samoa Joe though.
I know. Everyone loves Samoa Joe, but there was also
Wait,
there were
Suicide Squad's like live servicey, though,
yes,
right?
it is. Yeah.
Oh, is it? I don't know
God.
anything about it. I just think they gave Captain Boomerang the thing from Final Fantasy 15, and that's dope as shit.
That's the thing that a version of Boomerang had in the comics also, but sorry.
They
Anyway,
actually
wait.
had that. I gave up on
Yeah.
like.
yeah, there.
So
Okay.
We're veering off topic anyway.
Yeah.
Do y'all think that since Avengers is kind of, well, in terms of
Collapsing
sales, it
on
hasn't
itself.
flopped, but in terms of its tail, it's completely flopped.
Yeah.
Do y'all think they're going to revise their plans for Suicide
have.
Squad based on
Suicide
Avengers
Yeah, they've already
fucking
Oh.
up?
There's things.
Well, the thing about
Sorry, Ben, I can't hear what you're saying.
Ben, go ahead first. Yeah.
Suicide Squad is a completely different studio, isn't it? Because Avengers is Square and Suicide Squad is who fucking
Yeah.
Yeah,
publishes
Merv's
Arkham
point
games?
is just like, oh, well, will a superhero live service like can that anticipate getting a good reception right now? Is
Oh,
basically
it's
it.
not going to, but they're not going to change anything.
Yeah,
Companies
Warner-
aren't going to
Warner
Jeez.
Brothers has changed a lot of shit with their movie franchises like repeatedly over the last few years. They're their own thing, but Rocksteady is very stubborn, and AT&T is deeply profit hungry as a telecom. So I feel like they'll probably try to stay the course for as long as
And,
they
like,
can.
How
Yeah,
many
but,
shitty
like,
Snyder movies did we get before they actually changed stuff? Like,
That's also true.
I guess the point is, like, if they are profit hungry, then you'd think they'd see something failing to have that tail.
Okay, but
and-
Merv, that's based in rationality and
Yeah,
and
they're
profit.
I mean,
Based
so it's
corporatism
not
is
it's not profit hunger as much as it is inertia. Then
It is inertia to an extent. You're right, but also
since Avengers failed, that means there's more room for Suicide Squad to take that money.
yeah.
yeah, that's what they're thinking probably. They're not
Oh.
thinking of like, oh, we should do better. They're just like, let's just
We'll steal theirs.
it is
yeah.
it is remarkable how often managers look at what failed and what succeeded in similar products, and they're just like, yeah, that doesn't matter.
Yeah,
We're gonna do our own thing.
can we talk about Anthem happened a year and a half before Avengers came out, and every other of the less successful live services, but everyone's still trying to do that. Like, I don't think this is gonna change.
There's something about a game like Avengers that I just adore, where as soon as that game was like shown, everyone's like, that looks kind of shit. That's gonna
Yeah.
be bad.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
every single
from
piece of,
E3
like,
2019, everyone was
Yeah.
skeptical.
like,
Yeah.
every
And I've
single
said this
thing.
before. If they had like from the jump like emphasized the idea of like the campaign being from Kamala Khan's perspective, and this whole idea of like this teen's relationship to these heroes and their legacy, like I think it would have had at least a
Like,
Yeah.
Kamala Khan at the announce, did they? She
no,
was-
they didn't. Yeah.
I do
she
think
was
that-
really underemphasized in the marketing. I think
Yeah.
it wouldn't have saved all the multiplayer and the grindy and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
I think its marketing would have benefited from properly emphasizing Kamala more.
That's true.
But that
Depends.
corporate racism for you.
That
But
is
I mean,
true.
it's also it's not.
It is.
It did have. No, sorry, I'm not saying it's not racism. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, I share a race with Kamala.
I
No,
know.
that's not my point here.
Also sexism.
I mean, it's also that, and I can't say I share a gender with Kamala Khan. But no, the point I'm trying to make is, wait, what was I trying to make? I was trying to make a point here.
Oh no!
This is
God, I've lost my train of thought because now I've
We
gone down-
derailed Merv.
gone down the brown rabbit hole.
Oh god.
Oh.
God, that came out wrong.
I don't think there was a way for that to come out right, to be honest.
Yeah. Please go ahead.
No, the point I want to make is it did sell well in terms of moving units.
Right.
It just has no tail.
Right. But
So
that's the thing. Like these things are so expensive, and the expectations, the projections for them are so high because of the live service model. I don't think that's
Yeah.
going to make that huge of a difference ultimately.
They're still.
well, my
going
point is,
to...
if it had that upfront success, was it just by pure saturation, or was it successful marketing of the single player campaign that got it those initial sales? I don't know.
I think it's because it's Avengers, yeah. Like to the extent that it did do well at first. Like I really think it was just
And
the
I don't
brand.
I don't necessarily know that marketing the single player campaign better would have given it that longer tail.
Are they
I-
still going
well-
to release the?
Well, maybe they
DLC?
Maybe it should have been just a single player game.
Oh no, I completely agree with that. I'm just saying if
Wow.
they want it to be a live service thing, then
Yeah. No, I get your
They-
point.
they gotta pursue
Yeah.
a strategy that like markets the live service. But like not every game can be fucking Destiny.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but I
Um,
want it to be because Destiny's making lots of money.
Yeah. I know I call back to older episodes a lot, but like I said this during our E3 episode last year, like the pitch of live service model to like recreate long-term comic book narrative and continuity in video game form is not an inherently bad idea, but it was always going to be a much huger risk than any executive like really took into account. Live services
yeah.
are a total fucking crapshoot.
Yeah.
That's a fucking great idea.
Yeah.
Let's be honest,
And
nobody's
also
ever
that
really
that's not what this is
successfully
doing
done.
either. Yeah, like they're not actually really doing that. Like this is such a grindy game first and foremost, rather than a narrative one.
Like Destiny 2 is the game that has come closest to being able to pull that off.
Yeah,
And if Avengers had been able to pull that off, that would have been incredible.
I mean,
But
absolutely.
they've
I
made
would've
no
loved to
effort
see
in
that.
that direction.
Yeah.
MMOs
At this
pull that
point,
shit off all the time. I wouldn't say Destiny's the only one. Like, fucking look
Yeah,
at the story
as
progression.
a-
Wow.
Oh,
As
like,
a
yeah.
Final Fantasy
14
14 as well.
player, yeah, they
early
It's done it.
WoW. Yeah,
walk
that's fair.
story really well.
Yeah, but
That's the promise of Genshin Impact. We'll see if they succeed in that. But like, it's not something that's
Well,
easy
have
to do.
you fucking looked at Honkai? Like, okay, that sounded really. Have you guys ever seen their previous game?
no.
Genshin Impact.
I've heard of it, but I've never played it.
Like, okay, you know how Genshin Impact is like, man, we really like Breath of the Wild. Like, if you
Sure.
play their previous game, it's, man, we really like Bayonetta 2.
Huh.
That game starts off, and you are a woman fighting on top of a fighter jet as it flies through a city. And
Hey,
you have-
wait a second. That is just the beginning of Bayonetta 2.
Wait, no.
Exactly.
That's the surf. You have guns in your hand that you punch, and then hold down the punch button to shoot it,
Oh my
and do
god.
kicks and everything. And then after a second, you unlock your like super mode, where giant fists come out of portals behind you and smack.
Jesus Christ. That
Yeah,
is
it's not
that is
subtle.
grounds for lawsuit level limitation.
But like, yeah, if you see where that game progressed to, like, so it has its whole like narrative arc and everything, and then as they release things, it's like, fuck it, we'll just do the prequel to it, and like you do the prequel to it, and then there's a Devil May Cry game in there after you get far enough, and you just play a Devil May Cry game, and then you beat the Devil May Cry game, and it's like, well, it's a Devil May Cry game, so here's Bloody Palace, so you do Bloody Palace, and like, yeah, they've done really good at actually like carrying on their like story and content shit, and like with Genshin Impact, I think, how far have you gotten into Genshin Impact, Merv?
Not super duper far. I'm like at adventure level 15-ish.
Yeah, so you're still in Mondstadt?
Yeah, mostly doing Mondstadt quests. I'm gonna play it until I unlock Niue, and then after that, probably give up on it.
Because yeah, there's like 3 kingdoms that size in the game. A 4th one comes out in December, and there's plans for a total of 7 that they'll have out by the end of next year or something.
Damn. Okay, well kudos
Yeah.
to their commitment, and I hope it works out.
I'll
that's
say,
all I can say.
what I'll say is that the Breath of the Wild stuff, I would say it goes a little deeper than surface level, but there's a lot more, like, it plays completely differently from Breath of the Wild in terms of how you do combat and kind of how you interact with the world. But, like, the Breath of the Wild stuff is the traversal, like, you know, being able to climb any surface. That's
what I
all.
was
That's
trying to
the word you were looking for. Right. When Merv said movement.
Only an hour
Okay.
Yeah.
Go back an hour and edit that in.
Yeah.
Me saying,
We'll just, like, splice in
everyone's
you
fine,
saying
but give it a
traversal.
clean read. Traversal.
Exactly in that. Okay, yeah, let's
Yeah,
hear it.
let's-
3, 2, 1. Here, say it.
Traversal.
Okay.
There.
Second
Now we
take,
can
second
edit it
take,
back into the
second take.
podcast.
Traversal.
Ah, nice.
Kappa,
Wait,
edit
you
in
should,
the
you should
one where
record you
he's
say
yelling
it like different tones of voice. Traversal?
Edit in the one where he's yelling it. And so that'll be so
Traversal. Traversal.
Traversal.
Hey, traversal, baby. Yeah, we don't need to do the seductive voice. Like, could you imagine? Like, just what I love doing is just saying the stupidest words possible in like that stupid seductive voice. So like,
I do love that voice.
hey,
On a
pillars,
bad
baby.
idea.
Dark Side
How do you like them
Definitive Edition.
lamps? Do you like my microwave? Okay, I'm gonna stop now.
Okay, but to talk about to wrap up Avengers just really fast.
Oh shit, we were talking about
yeah.
Avengers.
Wow.
We
Oh,
were
yeah.
inexplicably talking about Avengers, which is still really not what our subject is. But give me a second.
Fuck it. Who cares? This
I'll wrap it
podcast
up,
is
I
about whatever we want it to be.
Because here's the thing about Avengers is like, yeah, like they don't seem to they haven't invested in the concept of actual like long-term storytelling or narrative structure or anything, and that's one of the problems in that sense of actually pulling off that theoretical idea of it. But what they had invested a lot in is y'all. So that game was heavily data mined before it came out through the beta. They had literally dozens of DLC characters planned, like from Scarlet Witch and Vision to the ones that just got delayed from October to January, the two Hawkeyes.
Yeah, Kate Bishop as well.
Wait, there
Do
are
you
two
know-
Hawkeyes?
They're Kate and Clint.
Yeah, Kate Bishop.
Yeah, and like what the Marvel the Disney Marvel show is gonna be about. But anyway, the point is, yeah, they have like straight up like 36 or ish characters, and how many do you think of those are actually going to release now? Like genuinely,
5.
yeah.
I give it 5.
I reckon the real question is, how long till that game's free to play?
Yeah. They might try to do that.
So,
I reckon
do-
by the end
do-
of next year, that game's going to be free to play.
yeah, I mean,
Like, it's gonna go the Battleborn route.
yeah.
Yeah, it works
Well,
with
Well,
them.
to be fair, that's also the Destiny 2 route.
Do you think ever it was planned to be only single player and somebody just from the
I mean,
brass
I
came
think-
Oh,
by?
They got
I
the
would
fucking
bet.
Deus Ex and Tomb Raider reboot guys. Yes.
I
Someone
would
wanted
bet.
it to be single player.
Like, I would bet good money that it started as a purely single player
Yeah.
game, and it got, I wouldn't say super far into development, but let's say they were in development as a single player game, and then it switched to having to add the live service component.
Absolutely.
That's what I would guess. I would guess it wasn't like they asked it to tack it on right at the end, but probably fairly early on in development. But it was in production,
Wow,
I
there
guess,
was
at the
some
time.
weird picks on those like data mine characters. Like they were
Yeah.
going to do Quake.
Yeah, Quake. Well, in fairness, she has
Wait, do
Agents
people
of
actually
S.H.I.E.L.D.
care about Quake?
It was-
I don't
it
know
was
comics
like
that well.
That's why they care
Agents
about
of
it.
S.H.I.E.L.D. Like
Yeah.
that's. But I'm shocked they cared about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. enough to include it. Honestly.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, I've watched Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but did anybody... I don't know if she's really a big character in the comics.
They made her a bigger deal in the comics for synergy. Marvel loved that
Okay.
synergy. I was trying to remember like I was trying to
For
remember
people
when
who
the-
love synergy, they sure love putting knockoffs of their like main actors in video games.
Right.
Yeah. How do
Um,
you reckon it would have changed anything if they'd actually got like the likeness rights and everything for the actors?
I mean, I don't think that was ever on the table realistically.
But like,
I don't.
I reckon honestly, since they couldn't get the likeness rights, they should have just made it look like more.
They could.
stylized.
It should have been more stylized and look more different. Yeah,
Like,
I think it's perfectly fair to say that as is, it was too close to the movie ones to really work.
Yeah, it's like too close, but not quite, and it's just
Yeah.
it just feels wrong. Like if it,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
what's the fucking
No.
top-down RPG thing, and there was a third one that just came out on the Switch.
Ultimate Alliance.
Also, yeah, like
Yeah.
they've gone like more comic booky like art from that, like, but obviously like a higher fidelity and shit. Like,
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
But
not
then
to
people
feel
be
like
saying
Ultimate
it looks too
Alliance
much like
is a better
Ultimate
version of
Alliance,
this
right?
game. Sorry.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's obvious they didn't have the money to obviously get the likenesses of the actors, but they wanted to pander to the people that liked the movies.
Yeah.
I will say
Uh,
though that we don't have the face likeness rights to someone, but we're making something based on them. Like character designs are my favorite thing in the world. Like just when games do that, like Fight Club not having Edward Norton or Brad Pitt, but not actually having Fred Durst is like
But it
amazing.
did have Red Durst, yes.
Yeah, it
No,
did
but
have-
I had one more thing.
Oh, sorry.
I was trying to remember when, like, we all remember, like, Square releasing an Avengers teaser announcing this thing, and people are like, really, Square?
Yeah.
January 2017. January 2017 was when this game was announced. Like, what game were they even inspired to make this live service based on, is my question.
Yeah.
because
it's
Destiny
before
2 hadn't
Destiny.
come out yet.
Is
Yeah,
Destiny
they-
1 at that point?
Yeah, I guess, but they, the game development, right? It mutated many
Sure,
times.
sure. I'm just wondering
My-
what the timetable was, because usually,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
things aren't usually announced like right when they start development or
Yeah.
before.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm assuming it was already in production.
Unless they're Bethesda games or Metroid Prime 4, yes.
Like, I'm sure it was out of pre-production at that point.
Yeah.
But, like,
So what do you think?
like I said, I'm sure it turned into a live service once it was out of pre-production,
Okay, that's fair enough.
based on how
But
it's
yeah.
constructed.
But yeah, like your best basis is my only point being your best basis being when that game was announced would have been the couple years worth of Destiny that Activision was about to cut off at the knees by forcing a sequel that Bungie tried to fight.
And I can't
Yeah.
wait for, after the game's finished, like crashing and burning and everything, someone's gonna fucking write like a Game of Sutra article or
Oh, totally.
something about the development of like, hey, here's what happened.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
I mean,
Yeah, the
like-
Schreier style behind the scenes article is gonna be excellent. Yes.
Yeah.
the funny thing is I haven't heard a lot of weird stories out of Crystal Dynamics, but I've heard a lot of rumors about Eidos Montreal, which is the other... There are 3 studios on this: Crystal Dynamics, Eidos Montreal, and Nix's. I haven't heard anything weird about Nix's, and they're very small. But Eidos Montreal and WB Montreal have a lot of rumors swirling around them, let's say. And I'm sure there's some weird shit that we're going to hear at some point.
Yeah.
Or maybe it'll all stay secret forever. I'm sure there's, for all the like exposés that come out about studios, there are so many stories that just never get
No,
told,
that's
and so many,
you're
so much
totally
bad
right.
shit that just
The-
happens in the shadows that we
Every
never
one
hear
of
about.
those happens. Yeah, like the others like will take decades to actually really get talked about. But also like Square Enix is not that good at keeping shit locked down. Like just look at how Final Fantasy 15 fell apart. And how like people know I think a good amount of the details around that. So yeah, we'll see.
Or the fact that I think we all knew that Avengers game was coming out like 2 years before it got announced. Like that game had been being like leaked for ages
That's
before it got
true
announced.
too. Yeah. It feels like leaks are getting more and more like consistent, weirdly enough.
I think it's because game development is getting so big. There's so many people involved.
Yeah.
Like you look at like fucking Ubisoft games with like thousands of people making. There's no way you can fucking keep that shit secret.
Yeah, because like some guy has something on his LinkedIn, or some coder talks to her friend about something, lets something slip by accident,
Well, do you remember
who
how
then
Assassin's
tells
Creed 4
their
got
friend.
leaked that it was a pirate game?
When what leaked as a pirate game? Sorry.
Black
Assassin's Creed
Flag.
4 Black Flag. The
Yeah.
original leak for that was someone took a photo of 2 guys on a plane. One guy showing the other one a proof of a poster for Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. He was
Like, at that
like, hey, look at this proof of the poster we're doing, and some dude just like walked past like on his phone like, oh shit, and took a photo and put it on the internet. And everyone's like, hey, next Assassin's Creed game, pirates.
And like the chance of that happening is super duper low, because
Yeah.
most people walking by wouldn't even give a second glance to something like that. They wouldn't even, like, most people walking by would be like, well, what the fuck is Assassin's Creed, right?
Would they though? Like, how many copies do those games sell? Like,
I mean, like, most people walking by are, I'm assuming, are like, my parents. My parents have never heard of fucking Assassin's Creed. For them, video games start and end at Mario.
From
So, like-
from the people I know, like 90% of people wouldn't give wouldn't even know.
Or they might have heard of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, they
but
might have heard
wouldn't,
the title, but
they
they-
wouldn't
yeah,
have
they
played
wouldn't
it,
care.
Yeah.
Either way.
care about a leak. That's a very online us shit for, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like the chances, I'm sure like shit like that happens every day. Somebody shows something to somebody else in public, and most people will walk by and just don't know what it is, or don't know how important or revelatory it could be.
Or you could just be like Capcom and have the worst like security ever. Or I don't even know if web security. Fucking does anyone know how all the Marvel vs. Capcom 3 Ultimate new characters got leaked?
No,
No.
sorry.
Basically, you went to the website, the Marvel vs. Capcom Ultimate 3, whatever the fuck it was called, the second version of Marvel vs. Capcom 3 that came out with a bunch of new characters. You clicked on like a character and like open in a new window, and the web address would be like, say like www.marvel-vs.capcom3 / like fucking Rue or whatever. You just delete Rue and type in the name of Capcom characters until one loaded a picture. Like, so people were just going on it and just like delete Rue and type in like Virgil, because everyone wanted Virgil to be in it, and like there's like a Marvel vs. Capcom 3 render of Virgil that just comes up and like, well, I guess he's in it. So people just went down a list of like every Capcom character and every like Marvel character, just typing it in and seeing what they got.
That's just like the world's dumbest oversight. Just don't upload that
Just call
shit,
him
you know?
Smurgel in the thing. And that was so funny.
Smurge.
Yeah, but
I didn't follow leak stuff that closely until it was beneficial for my job, but I do remember the story of the literally every new Pokemon design from Sun and Moon leaked because they released a demo of the game, and just every single Pokemon was in that demo's files, and there was no security.
Didn't the same happen with Sword and Shield? Like all those got leaked way early.
Well, so the Sword and Shield leaks are a little more complicated because it all started with a fucking 4chan post that turned out to get everything right. Like it wasn't asset based at all, and then assets came later. Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of disconcerting how often weird 4chan posts turn out to be true.
Yeah.
I wish they would go post them on 4chan of all places, but
right? Yeah, like, and the ratio.
What are you gonna do?
Mind you, the ratio of correct 4chan leaks is still pretty stark.
Oh, it's tiny
but
because people make
but it's also
shit
like,
up all the time.
Metrically huger than it had been up until like a few years ago, and that's what's wild about it.
Like even
Yeah.
when I used 4chan though, which like dark days, let's not talk about it. Even back then, the video game forum was just
Oh yeah.
worst. I can't imagine being like a video game journalist and being like, fuck, I have to go through 4chan threads.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think I enjoy like even looking at screenshots of it with the way they talk?
I cannot imagine that's fun for you.
It's not.
It is not a good experience. Yeah, 4chan is kind of gross.
4chan, the spookiest of all.
No.
It's the final boss. Oh god, if 4chan's the final boss, we have a fucked up society.
Science, do you have stories about crashes or otherwise like scary, bad technical issues?
Yeah, that's what this thing is.
Yeah, but they are all boring, so I don't mind not telling.
DW, how about you?
I
What
was
spooky
worried
stories
that
do
my
you have?
Arkham City story was too boring for what
Oh,
it's worth.
mine are even more boring, so I concede. You can skip me.
Okay, buddy.
So DW, how about you? Any spooky stories?
There's one recently, like a month ago, which had to do with Final Fantasy 14. So, like, my brother and I share the same account. And when I decided I wanted to make a new character, go through that whole process, I only saw my character and not my brother's, so I thought I deleted my brother's character, and he had like hundreds of hours, and he was like level 70 or whatever, and I was like panicking, like I was sweating, I was having trouble breathing, I was like, oh my god, what have I done? And then I just clicked one of the tabs up there that said worlds, like on the top right, and scrolled down, and clicked a world that said one character, and my brother's character showed up. So everything was just fine. I was literally gonna go to like contact Square Enix and like pay for like the lost character if I had to, but yeah, I just got myself worked up over nothing. Honestly, my experience with Final Fantasy 14 and interacting with players is like a spooky thing itself, because I play a tank which is like, you know, it draws enemies towards you so like other people don't get hurt, and you have to turn on this tank stance so like enemies are like aggroed towards you, and I always forget to do that. So all the enemies are just going after like the healer and like the damage dealers, and everyone's like, put on your tank stance, put on your tank stance. I'm like, oh, sorry, I forgot. And like, yeah, my whole experience of the game has just been me making mistakes and learning from them.
I think that's kind of life, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just life in general.
Oh,
But
speaking
I,
of deleting other people's stuff by accident, though, do you remember in the beginning of Smash Bros. Melee, when it starts up, there's like a random characters that fight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like random characters. For some reason, I got really obsessed with seeing I don't even remember which characters, two specific characters fighting in that little intro thing to see if it had happened. And so just kept resetting and resetting and resetting and resetting. And you know what happens if you just keep resetting a GameCube? It wipes the whole memory card.
Oh no.
It has like 250 hours of Smash Bros. Melee save files on it.
Oh
Which,
no.
like, because, like, I think you have to play that game for like 15 hours to unlock Mewtwo. And,
Yeah.
like, all that kind of. And so, like, yeah, I wiped my neighbor's Smash Bros. Melee file.
Oof.
Oh no.
And that's why you've been a ghost talking to us all along. He
How
murdered
spooky.
you.
Not
Oh
impressed.
no.
Oh yeah, good old dead Ben. My save file wiping story is also similarly distressing. I was a huge Roller Coaster Tycoon junkie as a kid. You know, I was playing right to the end of the game. I'd unlocked every scenario. I was one scenario away from unlocking Mega Park, and then my hard drive crashed, and I've never come that close since.
What's Mega Park?
It's the big final park that you unlock at the end of Roller Coaster Tycoon.
I put like hundreds of hours into that game, and I don't think I ever touched the campaign.
I mean, the campaign is the only thing that exists in Roller Coaster Tycoon, so you have to have touched the campaign.
Yeah, except you can just start like base map and then download a trainer that gives you infinite money and infinite like space and everything, and just like make insane dream coasters. I've never done. Like,
That is
Okay,
the most
that's fair.
your response ever been. You love your bootleg shit.
Roller Coaster Tycoon is insanely moddable. There's all sorts of weird trainers and just like people who have made all sorts of crazy shit. Because it's all very file based. Like all the track designs and all scenarios are like they're just files you can trade back and forth.
I didn't even know what a trainer was until they used one in a Monster Factory video. Griffin called it the Megan trainer. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so out of the loop with your hacker man shit.
I never used to do it that much, to be honest. The only game that I like modded up the wazoo when I was a kid was Command & Conquer Renegade, because there were a lot of turtle conversions for that game. They made like a red alert version of the multiplayer, which was a lot of fun. And they also made one that was more like Tiberian Sun themed rather than original CNC. I think they even had like a Soul Survivor mod, and nobody remembers Soul Survivor, the original MOBA. That's right. They made MOBAs before MOBAs were cool.
Were MOBAs ever cool?
I mean, they were popular. I don't know
Okay,
about cool.
okay.
But yeah, that was... so I modded that game up the wazoo, but other than that, I never really modded games much. And I still don't, even as a PC game player today. Which, I don't know, I guess that makes me not your typical PC game player. But,
See,
no, it is what
I'm
it
like
is.
the opposite, where I've gone completely console game lately. Like, by lately I mean like the past 20 years. But I still mod the shit out of everything.
Kudos.
Like, I hack all my consoles. I haven't hacked, like, basically my most current console that has to connect online, I don't hack, and then everything else, fuck it.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
might as well play all those weird import games that wouldn't run on it otherwise.
Oh, by that,
There's a lot.
by weird import games, do you mean the Game Boy Advance emulator on my Vita to play Kingdom Hearts?
Okay, that's fucking sick as hell.
That is a choice.
Well, the fucking Game Boy Advance version of the card game is so much better than the remake.
Oh, the remake game is awful. That's the only Kingdom Hearts game I gave up on.
Oh, I've given up on every Kingdom Hearts game I've played, including the Game Boy Advance, because it gets stupid hard at the end. But
Yeah, Merv, I still don't know how you had the patience that you did for that series. I just don't get it.
like, I just like, because I played it ages ago, back when it was new, like when it was only one game, and I didn't like it then, and I figured like I never gave it a chance. I need to, like, obviously there's something here that people love. I need to sit down and actually give this a legit go. And no, it's bad.
Oh no, the first Kingdom Hearts game is just awful.
No, the first
It's a
game's
fucking
not
awful
But
game.
it's-
bad, and then the
Have you
card game
considered that
is
it's all bad?
Like,
I'm not.
No, there's
I did.
Demix
no
isn't
like the
here for me to
second
fix
Kingdom
their
Hearts
heart.
game has good bits.
no, see,
Third Kingdom Hearts
no.
game starts off really strong
We're-
and then
we're
falls off a cliff.
2020,
tell
and
me-
we're still talking
people
about
that, like,
Kingdom Hearts.
oh, yeah. No, like, you have to get past the first one. The first one sucks, so I'm like, fine, I'll get past the first one. And then I'm like, so I can just skip to the second one? They're like, fuck no. So, sit through all the shit. So, I sat through 3 fucking Kingdom Hearts games to get to the one that everyone's like, no, this is the good one. And I played it and it's like, this still isn't good. What the fuck is wrong with you all?
The best Kingdom Hearts experience, I think, is still just finding YouTube clips of the most irrational, incomprehensible stuff from
The
those games.
best part of the Kingdom Hearts experience is watching AMVs of Simple and
Oh,
Clean.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no, fuck, I'm with
You
man.
are
That-
right.
That song goes hard.
Yo, fuck it, Sanctuary, is
I
the
agree
good.
with Merve.
I
I
like
like it
Sanctuary.
better.
I'm all about Sanctuary.
Merv
Um,
and DW, I think the world of both of you. I have the utmost respect, but I will never listen to your Kingdom Hearts opinions. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
That's all right. You're missing out on Dream Drop Distance, the best
I
Kingdom Hearts
don't
game.
even like playing on 3DS for anything. So I'm good.
Well,
But what if you played
That's
a
a-
Kingdom Hearts game that you didn't like on a system you didn't like?
Still can't believe it that it's named Dream Drop Distance. It's just, oh my god.
oh, it's the fucking stupidest name,
No,
and it
it's-
goes complete. The
it's-
game goes completely off the
It's
rails at the end.
possibly the worst of those all of those titles. I still think that.
No, it's
Wait,
better than 358 over 2 days.
I still think it's worse.
Are you talking worse of all the Kingdom Hearts titles, or worse of
Kingdom.
all the like
He's
really
definitely
Kingdom
saying
Hearts.
Kingdom Hearts
maybe
titles,
Yeah.
because
to make
yeah,
it
I-
have the right acronym?
No,
yeah,
no,
I
Kingdom
prefer
Hearts.
thinking about all the DS games that have DS in the title.
Love it. I love that shit so much.
So dumb.
Oh my god, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrows. That doesn't make any sense, but it says
Yeah.
DS.
Yeah.
Advance Wars Dual Strike.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know, is there a game that they created a specific mechanic for it so they could use it as a subtitle, so they could get the right acronym?
Oh, almost certainly that has been
Statistically
done.
speaking, yes.
Yeah.
Especially like even if you were only talking about first party Nintendo in the DS era, like probably.
Oh yeah, I've momentarily forgot how stupid Nintendo were. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's a dumb question. They've obviously done that.
Yeah. They fucking loved their controller gimmicks.
Just give me a Star Fox game that doesn't use a dumb controller gimmick, please.
They're never gonna do that. They've killed Star Fox for good
No.
after Zero.
That's not actually true. I'm for once I'm not trying to be like the optimist. Like I literally know that they're working on a Star Fox right now.
Really?
Honestly,
Yeah.
I love Star Fox, and at this point, I don't even think I care.
I mean,
there is
they.
such a
Aw.
slim chance of it being good.
I'm really sorry for that, Ben. I genuinely am. I have no interest in Star Fox,
Just like
but I feel bad for you.
Violet Wars is so good. Violet Wars is so good, and
Is it? Was there ever a good Star Fox game?
Yeah, Lilac Wars is amazing.
Okay.
I remember
Take
you
your word
having
for
to
it.
explain that Lilac Wars is the PAL title of 64 to people,
Oh,
and it's
right,
still
yeah.
so funny. Yeah.
Star Fox 64, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of scary things and Star Fox, I used to be scared of the robot Andross final boss when I was a kid.
Oh, Andross is always scary. Like when I first saw that floating, like square spitting head in Melee, fucking
Yeah.
freaked the hell out.
Yeah.
And
I remember-
remember, Melee was literally my first exposure to anything Nintendo.
Yeah.
So that was
Also,
even more
when they made it
surreal.
far less creepy in Star Fox 64, which is apparently the right name, where he's just you like explode his head and fight a giant floating brain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh. Also, for what it's worth, it's perfectly okay for you to call it Lilac Wars. I just wanted to make sure the viewers know for sure.
No, I'm just shit, don't worry about me.
It's okay. We have language barriers here all the time, like torch. That's okay. So do we have any other campfire stories we'd like to share before we call this podcast to a close?
The last one I would say is I got 100 hours, maybe 110 into Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and I put that on the back burner for like a year, and finally decided, fuck it, I'm gonna finish the DLC. And like going through that, I was up to the last bit of the last DLC where you go to Atlantis, and it is in a horrible flesh monster zone, and my Xbox died.
Oh no!
And so I took my Xbox to get repaired, which it got repaired, got it back home, and it still was dead. And then I took it back to get repaired again, and I got it repaired, and it lasted for another week, which wasn't long enough for me to beat Assassin's Creed, and it died again.
Wasn't that 360?
No, this is Xbox One.
Oh, okay.
So I've got it back now, and it's working, and I managed to beat Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and it's like, you just have to survive to the 10th. Just
Yeah.
live to the 10th.
Just wait till Series X. Hey, I'm
gonna
rooting for you,
table
man.
Series X, and I'm gonna trade you in to pay for it, and take off all the stickers that say you've died multiple times.
I have two stories.
Sure.
First, they're both very short. First of all, my New Vegas DLC corrupted, like not a save corrupted. The actual DLC files installs themselves corrupted.
Oh, that's weird.
And that's that's some of the best DLC ever made, I think. So that was really rough.
Yeah.
Oh no.
And then my other one is that it's a good thing my family doesn't know about this podcast. So 2 years ago, my partner Library Lass and I, we really wanted to get a PS4. And specifically, we wanted to get a PS4 in time for Spider-Man 2018 coming out in November. Or was it? Okay, no. It had come out in September, I think, but we didn't get it until November. The point was we wanted a PS4 to play it on, or she wanted a PS4 to play it specifically on, and I just wanted a PS4 for Resident Evil 7. So we got a PS4 off of eBay for $200. It was an original 2013 PS4. We bought off some harried mother whose kid didn't want it anymore. It's mostly functional, but it's saved and it doesn't work. It doesn't. Oh. It can't save. We tried multiple fixes. It still hasn't been fixed. And it's not easy to resell it or trade it in for actual money because of that very specific issue. So we wasted $200 on our first PS4, and then we spent another $200 on our second PS4, which is what we've used for the last 2 years. And boy, do I think a lot about how we wound up spending $400 on PS4s. I think about it like all the time. And remember that, for those of you that read my news article from this week, from when we're recording this, you remember my angry rant about giving Sony too much money for Spider-Man? Yeah.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Okay, for some context for me, how much does a PS4 cost in America? 'Cause I have
Okay.
no idea.
$400.
No. A PS4 launched at 400. It was cut to 300. The Black Friday Spider-Man bundle that is the main PS4 we've used was only 200. So that was at a good discount, granted, but we still spent $200 on a broken piece of hardware.
Yeah.
And we're poor as shit.
Because just for comparison, if I wanted to get a PS4 now, I'm looking at $450. So the $400
Right.
for a PS4 is like, ooh, cheap.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
see your point there, but it's not about it's not about
Oh,
the total
no, don't worry.
amount
It's
for a working
450
PS4.
Australian dollars. That's like 30 cents to you guys.
Right. That too. but-
Exchange rates, what are they, really?
Yeah, like
Um,
it's really just knowing that the half
Wait,
of that was
that's
spent
a
on hardware. That,
pre-order. Who is
Sorry?
pre-ordering a PS4 at the moment?
sorry. Who?
Oh, he's probably looking up some Australian
Yeah,
store.
I was looking up the EV Games website to see how much they sell a PS4 for, and it's PlayStation 4 500GB Jet Black console pre-order.
Why is it listed as a pre-order?
I
That's
don't
weird.
know. Is
Maybe
Jet
stock
Black
run
like
out?
to a norm?
I mean, EV Games is probably stuck back in 2013.
Well, EV Games are kind of at the point where they're becoming a pop vinyl store.
Oh god.
Okay.
Like, you go in there and, like, literally half the store is just pop vinyls. But why?
Do those things actually sell well? I've never seen someone buy a Funko Pop.
I
Oh, I buy shitloads of them. I repaint them now, and I'm gonna start selling them again.
I do really love your repaints, by the way. But yeah, no, I know a bunch of, for lack of a less gross word, I know a bunch of normies, quote unquote, who have fuck tons of Funko Pops. Yeah, no, they absolutely do sell. They're just not the kind
Okay.
of people you talk to mostly.
I know the wrestler Sammy Guevara has tons of them. He's fucking obsessed with them.
That's hilarious.
Like, if you ever see
No, I don't want to,
pictures
like...
from his house, the wall behind him is just pop vinyls.
Oh yeah, and
I don't want to denigrate anyone's hobbies. I'm just, like,
I'm not
curious.
shaming either. I promise I'm not. I again, lack of a better term.
Yeah, I just don't... There's so many things that are so hyper popular, and I just don't know
Yeah.
who's consuming them. They're like CBS procedurals, right?
Yeah, it's
Who's
completely
watching this shit?
Yeah.
I don't know these people.
Well, I found out
But-
the, like, fourth most profitable game franchise of all time is, like, Dungeon
Yeah.
Crawl Online or something
Yep.
I've never heard of. And that was
Yep.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I remember the Dungeon Crawler Online stuff from the Night Thread. That was great.
Yeah, it's apparently super popular in Korea.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, those Asian mobile games are insane. for a very broad framing of it.
Yeah, like I still remember everyone being confused as fuck at one of the Xbox showcases
Crossfire.
when Phil Spencer announced like they're bringing Crossfire to the Xbox, and that game is huge
Crossfire.
throughout East and Southeast Asia,
600 million players.
But more
and it's just like
importantly-
no footprint in North America.
Yeah.
More importantly than that, the best thing about that is
Oh,
the slowed down.
the
breaking
X couldn't give
cinematic
it to you cover.
It's
Yeah.
gonna give it to you.
Yeah, that was incredible. I've shared that with my friends multiple times. It's so fucking funny.
I remember watching that, and I was on the avocado thread, and everyone's like, "Oh, what's this?" And I'm like, "Oh, cool, it's a Remedy game. I like Remedy because Remedy are doing the story mode." I'm like, "Oh, like I don't care about a military shooter, but I'll go in for a
Yeah.
Remedy." And then you just like watching it, and it's sort of like, "This sounds really familiar," and it's just a, "Oh, this isn't, is it?"
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Yeah, that song, that was earth-shakingly crazy.
Yeah.
My
Like-
reaction to that trailer is like, this is the broiest shooter imaginable, but this is the coolest possible version of a broiest shooter imaginable.
Yeah.
So it kind of like evens out to meh
Mhm.
for
Like,
me.
it
Yeah.
looks like a really broy shooter that I don't care about, but also Remedy make really good games. So like,
Mm.
I'm willing to go to bat for Remedy.
I'll be-
basically.
Yeah.
I'll be
It's
in.
like, this looks cool, but there's also bro.
Yeah.
And I don't know to the extent to which the cool and the bro balance each other out.
Right, yeah. And that's the other thing is like yes, Remedy are talented, but are they actually equipped to do military shooter narrative? Like that's a complex beast, to put it lightly.
I am excited to see how.
Also, I still haven't beaten Control. I still haven't beaten.
Horribly, so just you're fine.
I was like 2/3 of the way through, but I got so bored. I'm sorry.
That is a game.
It's all right.
It's
really like, and now the like production stuff with its like special
No,
edition.
the Ultimate Edition shit really fucking sucks. It's not Remedy's fault. It was the publisher, but still,
Yeah,
it really sucks.
That's all 505, but yeah.
But like, that's it, like, oh, and I was like so excited for the AWE. Like, oh, cool, they're finally finishing fucking Alan Wake, and it's like, now I don't want to give him money.
Yeah, I've never liked a Remedy game by the end of it. I start liking them, but I don't by the end, and I feel bad. I know you really like them, and that's super valid.
No, that is like not liking a Remedy game by the end is like they all end shit. Like
they
every
do.
Remedy game ends shit, except for Max Payne 2. Max Payne 2 has like a perfect ending, but like fucking Alan Wake, fucking Just in Time. I always forget the actual name of that game. Control.
Quantum Break?
Yeah.
It
He
was
loves
apparently
calling it
originally called Just in Time
Just
at one point,
Time.
and his
Yeah,
name was
which is
Just in
amazing.
Time.
That would have been fucking great.
Right.
They should have done that.
Yeah.
And was the
Xbox.
main character's name Justin? That would
Not by the end of it, no.
Yeah.
This is the story
Yeah,
I
Xbox
have
next.
of Nate.
Wait, when you say not by the end of it, do you mean he starts as Justin and he slowly changes his
like
name
development,
letter
right?
by letter?
Yeah, I don't know what his name is in the finished game.
No one does. Like, let's put it this way.
It's probably like
Quantum
Cole
Break.
or Nate or something.
I have a mate that moved to fucking Norway or wherever they are to work for Remedy and was an engine programmer on
Finland.
that game, and he can't tell me what that character's name is.
Wow.
I actually, for what it's worth, I intend to try Quantum Break whenever I do have a newer Xbox.
Oh, let's put it this way. It starts really strong, and then it's shit at the end.
Right.
Like, every
I'll-
Kind of like this
Yeah,
podcast.
Basically,
I'll be able to get very cheap. So.
basically every Remedy game. Oh, well, if you get a new Xbox and get Game Pass, it's on that.
That's true too.
But like every Remedy game basically starts strong, has like and then basically at the point of a story where Act 2 ends and Act 3 begins, and there's like a little bit of a twist to like motivate the rest of Act 3, that's where Remedy games end.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
Yeah, it's the BioShock killing Andrew Ryan thing.
It's like that was one of the reasons I wasn't pissed off at Control, because I went into that game going like, this game's gonna end shit. This game's gonna fall apart by the end of it.
Yeah,
and
that's
it falls
perfectly fair.
apart by the end of it. So
Yeah.
like,
That's fair enough. But the thing was, it wasn't the story that was laying me down primarily. It was the gameplay, which I really
Yeah, if you don't
thought-
connect with the gameplay of that game, it's not gonna
doesn't
be a
it?
good time.
Did you do that fucking boss fight in the fridge?
I mean, I
Yeah.
think the bridge boss fight's really cool. I liked it, but I just found the overall like progression arc like pretty sloggy at a certain point.
Oh, I hated that boss fight in the fridge.
I can't remember which was that one of the mandatory boss fights or the optional ones.
It was an optional one, but
and
it's-
like the floor crushes underneath you, but like you can't really see because it's really dark, and you just keep falling to your death 400 fucking times, and then it's like a 10-minute loading screen to get to the
it's a,
goddamn fight again.
the thing about that fight is that either you'll take forever on it, or you can literally beat it in like 15 seconds if you do it right. and I'm not saying I ever did that, but I've seen it done.
Wait, is that the one where the floor slowly crumbles beneath you?
Yeah, there's like a.
Oh, I did that one.
The one
took
where
me
it's
like 20
it's a
tries.
giant worm with an eye thing.
Oh yeah. That one's the hardest boss fight that I attempted.
It is
and
a very
succeeded in
demanding boss
eventually.
fight for sure, but I enjoyed it just because of the everything of it.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
aesthetic is
it took me like 20 tries, but I got
yeah,
through it.
I
in the
wanted
end.
to like throw something by the end of it.
I don't know. I never found Control to be like uber frustrating.
I didn't accept that one.
It is a hard game, but I never found it like oppressively difficult in a way that turned me off it.
It's the same thing that happened to me with Alan Wake a decade ago. It just gets really repetitive at a certain point. And mind you, Control is better about that than Alan Wake was by a significant amount, but it still got boring for me, unfortunately.
I think Control also has
fair.
like a lot of technical issues that like hurt it being a fun game.
That's true too. Yeah. Yeah. If I put.
Oh, I played it on PC where it
Right.
runs very well.
Yeah. When I
If
put
you played it on PS4, you'd probably want to kill
yeah
yourself.
when I put my disc in a PS5, it will benefit from that, but also like will I be motivated to? You know.
But wait, will it? I thought it wasn't. That was the whole thing. It's not going to benefit from the new console.
I think you will have to.
I mean, it
buy,
should work through backwards compatibility.
I think you will
Yeah.
have to buy an upgrade edition or something.
Yeah, you have to buy the like Game of the Year.
Like the
edition.
actual disc won't run. Oh my god.
I
I
think so.
legitimately
No,
think
like-
it was impossible without.
No, it will work through backwards
It'll
compatibility.
work through
They're only
compatibility, but there's no improvements on it. You only get the improvements.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
You're not going to get any of the improvements.
Okay,
just
so talk me through this. How is it possible that you're using hardware, but you're not using all of the hardware like just by?
I mean, it might run smoother,
Hardware?
I think it'll run smoother,
might run
but
better.
but it doesn't have ray
but you're not going to
tracing.
get any of the graphical
Yeah.
enhancements. It'll just run better.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that. I don't
Okay.
care
Alright.
that much about most of the other stuff. Okay.
Um,
I've been very
but yeah, you're not going to unlock like a higher secret resolution.
right.
I know I said secret
Yeah,
resolution. Resolutions
I'm
aren't
not
secret.
worried about
They're just
resolution,
numbers.
but my question was about like
Really?
Sony has this fucking chart. Sony has a chart of like here's our running at PS4 equivalent mode, here's our PS4 Pro mode, here's our boost mode, and here's full PS5 mode. They have fucking 4 different run modes, and they're only using some of the hardware for each of those modes except for the top one, and I don't understand how that works.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what it basically is as far as I'm no fucking expert, but this is gonna be talking my ass anyway.
Okay.
Depending on like how the game is programmed to run in the first place, so like whether it's got an uncapped frame rate or a locked frame rate, if it's got what's the fucking thing, dynamic resolution or a locked resolution. So if
Right.
a game is programmed to be like this game will run at 30 frames a second and it like has a resolution of 1080p and that's what it's programmed to do, that's like they're not going back and changing any of that like hard programming. So
Yeah.
more power won't make it run any better. But if the game is like has an unlocked frame rate, which basically we're trying like it uses as much of the processing power as it can get to run as good as it can, and same with dynamic resolution, it will take as much as it can from the PS5 and bump up like its frame rate, bump up its resolution, all that shit.
That's why Ghost of Tsushima has a patch that's a 60 FPS mode.
Yeah, basically.
It's locked at 30 otherwise, if you're not doing performance mode, I guess. But yeah, you need a separate mode that is compatible for the
And then,
up,
'cause
the
there's
boosted
also
performance.
shit like, how aware of you of the Dark Souls frame rate problems?
Well, that's the thing. Like I've played every Souls game I've ever played was on my PS4, and I've had fairly little technical issues with them ever.
Oh no, not that frame rate problem. Not the actual playing the problem. The problem was the Dark Souls physics and damage models were tied to the frame rate. So when you stab someone with a sword, it calculates the damage for how many frames that sword is making contact.
Oh,
So
right.
when people put it on PC and bumped up the frame rate, all weapons did double damage because they were
Yeah.
contacting for twice as many
Oh,
frames.
okay. I see what you mean. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I knew about the weird like frame programming and how that that broke the
Mhm.
game. Yeah, that's its whole thing. The whole thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So like there might be games like that on PS4, which like, hey, we made it to the frame rate, and now it's fucked.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. But
I think
don't worry,
that-
you'll be able to play every game that isn't Joe's Diner and Afro Samurai 2.
Well, let's be fair. Afro Samurai 2 didn't fucking work to start with.
I've heard that. I didn't even know Afro Samurai 2 existed until I read its title on the
That was
list of
a-
PS4 games that
I've never heard of Joe's Diner.
That was
Joe's Diner is a
Afro
horror
Samurai
game.
One of those games that worked so badly it got unreleased.
Yeah,
Like-
I have heard
The
about
weird
that.
thing is the fucking like Unreal Engine Metroidvania game. What's that called?
Oh, Shadow Complex.
Yeah, why does that not work on backwards compatibility? That's a really weird one.
I don't know.
It is a weird one. It might be a licensing thing. I don't know.
It's on
It
PC,
might be.
so
It also might be like a weird hardware idiosyncrasy.
Yeah.
Like it's like one of the few games that exploits some weird idiosyncrasy in the
And that was the
hardware
360 PS3
Very
gen
few.
game too, right? Like,
Yeah.
Oh
like
no, it's the HD re-release of it.
oh, okay. We're right. It's
Yeah.
Shadow Complex remastered. Fair enough, but still, like, okay.
Yeah, like
Hey,
it's just an Unreal Engine game made by Epic. It's like the other ones you can understand. They're like these weird, fucking janky, broken games. But it's kind of like a weirdly big name game for it not to work. If you know what I mean?
yeah, it's bigger than the others, certainly. But I can't say I'll miss it.
Oh, I've had it sitting on my Xbox One for like 2 years, and I've never even opened it. So
Yeah.
it's pretty good. I liked it.
But you're right that it is kind of weird relative to the others, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, sorry, Merv.
All right. So we did Halloween today, I think, sort of.
The
kind of,
scariest
maybe.
thing about this episode is the tangents.
And the secants. That's a math joke for
I
all
got
of you.
that.
I did not.
Me neither.
Go back to high school math,
I was
and you'll understand it
specifically
again.
promised that there would be no maths when I came on this podcast.
I've never made that promise ever to anyone. I've never said I will avoid math. I don't think I've ever said that sentence before. If you would like to keep up to date with the podcast, you can follow us on our website, avocadogamescast.wordpress.com. There we post each episode along with a link dump. So you can check some of the photos of Flesh Atlantis that we were talking about. You can also, I can say words good. You can also subscribe to us on iTunes. Just search for Avocado Gamescast. And make sure you check out The Avocado, the community that spawned this podcast, at the-avocado.org. Don't type out the word hyphen. That will take you to a Flesh Atlantis website.
Maybe I want to go there.
Maybe you want to go to Flesh Atlantis.
Yeah.
I just want to
And-
posit that we just stick with Fleshlantis rather than Flesh
Oh,
Atlantis.
nice.
I think that's better.
Thank you for that
Fleshlantis.
portmanteau.
Yes.
I had dirty jokes that
Please
I'm not
don't.
going to say.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Anyway, Fleshlantis. Fleshlantis.
Oh my god, I went through this whole episode without mentioning Among Us. It's really fun, by the way.
Can't confirm.
Yeah, go play Among Us, which is appropriately Halloween themed. Go play Tomb Raider, hang out in Fleshlantis, and
I
we will see
will.
you next time. I think. I don't know. Maybe they're
This
going
is
to kill
the
me
episode
between now
where
and
we
Halloween.
get canceled. I don't know how we could possibly get canceled or by who, but it'll happen.
I mean, I can cancel this whenever I want.
Oh, please don't. I want to. Let me do at least 2 end of the year episodes first.
This podcast is dead. No, it's not dead. We will come back for at least one more.
Undead.
Oh, we will come back from the grave.
Oh yeah, it is Halloween. We really did not Halloween theme this at all.
Hey,
I like how you were confused for a few seconds.
I was
there.
very committed to my "Are you afraid of the dark?" joke. My one "Are you afraid?"
Oh, that's what you were referencing?
Yes.
That's a Canadian thing.
Yeah,
I should
I
know
was gonna
it.
say.
I watched like one episode of that as a kid because my parents were like, "Don't watch that."
Oh,
shit."
my mom
You're too good for
weirdly was very encouraging of me checking out horror because she was big into horror at my age, so she felt she couldn't like be unfair about it.
Okay.
I
It was very
vaguely
fun.
don't know Are You Afraid of the Dark is.
Yeah,
It's
it probably
Canadian
didn't
shit.
get
That's all
imported
you
to
know.
Australia very well.
Yeah,
Statistically
we had
speaking.
Goosebumps show.
Yeah.
We
Goosebumps.
had,
Ryan Gosling.
I don't know, we had all of that, and Europe isn't like the, we don't get all of the imports, so that was, I don't know. It was an okay show from what I remember.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, anyway, tangent, sorry.
Yeah, we're ending this on a tangent. Although I suppose we're ending it on the actual topic, which was Halloween.
Honestly, at this point, the actual topic is more of a tangent than the tangent.
Maybe so. Maybe so.
We've had worse episodes. We've gone off on.
This-
I was on worse episodes. You're right.
You were on the worst
At
episode,
least
and it was
wasn't
partly your
Wales.
fault.
That's what we're
Yeah,
always
I
going to say.
mentioned
At least it
Wales.
wasn't Wales.
Oh boy.
Yeah. I am cutting us off now.
Yeah.
We are not going down that
No,
road
we
today.
shouldn't. We should.
I'm cutting us off. Thank you all for listening to this podcast. We will see you next time. Spooky noises.
Ooh, bye.
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 Bye.